Chapter 130 Wedding Date. It is not easy to save more than 502 committees in a remote town. Susu laughed. This is about his family. In this way, she was given a widow who had only recently known each other, and it was indeed his character. What he didn't say could be guessed even if he didn't say Suzu. Don't lie to me, otherwise you won't let you go. The paranoia of Tan Taijin's character was engraved in his bones, and he lied to him. Fortunately, if he runs away with his feelings, I am afraid he will have to kill her first and then suicide. This night Susu slept peacefully with the little Ami in his arms. For the first time since losing him in 1,000 years, she felt so at ease, because Tan Taijin was next door, and she could see him when she opened her eyes. Bai Zichen slept uneasy. Since he was a child, he has a keen intuition that is superior to that of mortals. In the year when the Bai family had an accident, he always had an ominous premonition in his heart. They tried their best to stop them, but they only treated his words as jokes and comforted him. I still went out on a rainy night. He rested his arm and turned over. Bai Zichen knew in his heart that Susu and Ami's origins were extraordinary. He recalled that the day when Ami was picked up, the little girl was on a tree, so high a tree, she could not climb it alone. Tonight, she hugged the small powder group out of the fire. She obviously stepped on the fire, but Tan Taijin noticed that Ami hadn't even damaged his clothes. Xiao Fen Tuan is not afraid of fire. Stunning appearance, weird origin, no way to think about it is not immortal. Bai Zichen was not afraid of spirits and monks, he was afraid that once they left, he could do nothing. Or maybe, she was drunk last night, so she whispered jokes in his ear and smiled and said that she wanted a silver or two as a betrothal gift. After waking up, she regretted it. After dawn, Bai Zichen couldn't help going to the next door, raised his hand, and put it down again. The door opened from the inside. Susu had known that he had been standing outside for a long time, and seeing that he hadn't knocked on the door, he simply opened the door and asked, "What's wrong?" The drunken eyes of last night have long faded from the eyes of the woman in front of her. Bai Zichen asked, "Do you remember what you said last night?" Of course Susu remembered, and deliberately teased him. "I said a lot of things with young master Bai last night. I don't know which sentence the young master refers to." He looked at Susu with pitch black eyes and said, "If what you said last night was unintentional, you can tell me now and I will never get entangled. If you don't regret it now, then don't regret it in this life." Susu asked, "If I go back, you really give up?" He was silent and did not speak. Susu looked at his gloomy expression, knowing that he must be very active in his heart. Obviously he is not a magnanimous person, so he just wants to say something against his will and magnanimity. She shook the money belt in her hand, and solemnly said, "Those words are not jokes. I do not regret it, nor treat you as someone else. I have received the bride price, and there is no reason to regret it. Me and I, please in this life. Are you, okay?" Bai Zichen reluctantly pressed down the corners of her lips, and replied, "Yes." It didn't take long for Susu to understand that he was more than just talking. He changed into his old attire, put on moon-white clothes, and went out without telling Susu what to do. But naturally his actions couldn't be hidden from her. What Li Danjian couldn't ask for, after Bai Zichen met Susu, easily gave her. He went to sign up for the country test and wanted to give her and Ami the best life. When Bai Zichen returned, Susu was waiting for him at the gate of the courtyard. In the summer in Changal town, the roses in the yard that never bloomed in previous years bloomed at some time, with big flowers and bright colors. A few birds are jumping on the branches, and Suzu is sitting under the tree, eye-catching. All creatures are blessed by God, and the scenery in their eyes is all vivid. Such a vivid picture gave him a moment of loss of consciousness. In a peaceful afternoon, the courtyard was waiting for the people who returned from him. This scene seemed to have been waiting for a long, long time. Susu walked up to him and stood on tiptoe to wipe the sweat from his forehead. She moved very softly. "Whose son is this, so beautiful in white?" He couldn't help but put a smile on his mouth, and held her hand. "Don't make trouble, it's all sweat and dirty." The marriage contract in the hearts of the two made them get close instantly. Susuhue shook his hand and said softly, "No." A long time ago, she said in 1,000 Miles picture that he looked good in white, so he took off his mysterious clothes and wore white for many years. Under the white clothes, there is nowhere to hide his pain, but she once thought it was him pretending to be innocent. Even wearing white clothes could not hide the fact that he was a demon. Later, he became enchanted and never tainted white again. It wasn't until the end when he carved the tombstone with his own hands in the imperial mausoleum that Susu knew that he hoped that in her heart, he was clean. His growth has never been praised, and he has been seen as a mistake from birth. With a small compliment from her, he can remember it for many years. In the afternoon, I will help you repair the yard, Bai Zichen said. Last night, Mother Lu went to find Suzu's stubbornness. There was only a me at home, but she accidentally knocked over the candle. With me's presence, the candles couldn't be lit at all. In order to scare Mother Lu, me created the illusion of a fire. But the little guy didn't know that the blind eye technique could not be used in front of mortals, so Susu had no choice but to use the trick to make the yard create the illusion of being damaged. Listening to Bai Zichen's words, she looked at him with clear eyes. The yard is repaired. Are you going to drive me away? He whispered. No, you can live as long as you like. Susu said, fortunately, you don't drive me away, or you will leave the yard broken. This is very straightforward. Bai Zichen's ears are a little hot. He has never felt shy when he grows up so much, but at this moment he feels embarrassed for the first time. Even the fairies are not so bold. Did she know that before a mortal got married, she lived in her husband's home was not in accordance with the rules of the world, but she didn't have to abide by any rules, and Bai Zichen didn't want her to leave either. Bai Zichen tucked her hair behind her ears. I will ask Mother Lu to give you an explanation, and I will also deal with the marriage contract between me and Lu Danjian. Susu shook her head. No, she herself was very scared. As for Lu Danjian, you don't need to find her. I have other plans. Do you believe me? What's your plan? You'll find out in a few days. Asterisk. Lu Danjian had always been concerned about the local examination. She had been paying attention to this examination. Bai Zichen did not take the examination every year. This was her last chance, and she couldn't afford to miss it. Lu Danjian was unwilling to marry a mediocre person. She gritted her teeth and said in her heart that if Bai Zichen didn't go for the exam this time, she would have to listen to the mother and marry Li Yuan to fill the house. But after inquiring about it, I learned that Bai Zichen will participate in this year's rural examination. She was extremely pleasantly surprised, thinking that Bai Zichen was enlightened and would like to marry herself. It didn't take long for him to be happy, but he knew from the cursing Mother Lu that Ami and her mother lived in Bai Zichen's home. How could this be? Lu Danjian's expression changed immediately, and he wanted to find trouble. Mother Lu had a ghost in her heart, and she faltered to stop her. Forget it. I heard that there was a fire in that little widow's house, so I stayed temporarily in Bai Zichen's house. Lu Danjian was willing to listen, and went out regardless of obstruction, and found Bai Zichen, almost unable to maintain his virtuous posture. You let that little asterisk live in your house. What do you think of me? Bai Zichen glanced at Susu and Ami in the back room and made sure that they couldn't hear them. He immediately got cold and mocked and said, What do you think I think of you, Miss Lu? You, the marriage contract in your mouth, but your mother. When I was a servant at my house, my mother's jokes were only taken seriously by your family, and they deliberately spread to everybody in Changal town. The Bai family has fallen, and your mother has been thinking about regretting it all these years. What do you think you are in my eyes? He snorted. Don't let me hear you say Suzu and Ami in that tone again. One of them is my wife who is going to pass the door, and the other is my daughter. Brother Zichen, are you crazy? She married someone and gave birth to other people. How could you marry such a person? Bai Zichen stepped forward, with a cold smile on his mouth, looked at her, and whispered in her ear, But I don't care. Do you know how Wang Sai, who likes to be the most mischievous in the town, died? When Lu Danjian heard it, his face changed drastically. The death of Wang Sai was miserable, and the whole town knew it. You, Miss Lu, go home early. Lu Danjian paled, and ran away without looking back. Inside the house, Ami blinked and asked her mother, Father, too, will scare people. Susu laughed, fingers pressed to his lips, and said, Yes, but me must be treated as if I didn't hear it. Otherwise he will be upset. Even if he pretends, he hopes to be a good person in front of them. Ami hurriedly covered her small mouth, and nodded seriously. In her heart, father is the best. Asterisk. Despite this, Li Danjian still refused to give up Bai Zichen easily. For her, Bai Zichen was the bright moon in the sky when the Bai family hadn't fallen. Now that the bright moon falls on the ground, whoever finds it will belong to her. Not to mention the outstanding young man with outstanding talents, he must have the former family background of the Bai family. How can such a person be comparable to the kind of half-fitted into the coffin outside the member of Li? Li Danjian gritted his teeth, did not let go, but did not dare to trouble Susu. Li Danjian wanted to wait until Chua passed before making plans. If Bai Zichen passes the exam, she will tell all the folks about the marriage contract, and Li Sizu and Ami live in his home. It is his fault. If he didn't pass the exam, Li Danjian wouldn't want to mess with such a person, so as not to be completely fishy. A hopeless person, so what about that little vixen? Chi Wei passed, but the result has not yet come out, and Tan Tai Jin's courtyard is in harmony. The wedding date is set in October. Susu and Ami live in his home. He has always been very gentleman polite and never oversteps the rules. Once Susu lay down in front of the courtyard and pretended to sleep. Bai Zichen's hand traced her eyebrows for a long time, her lips touched her eyebrows, and she even heard him swallowing, but after waiting for a long time, he still didn't touch her. After he left, Susu quietly opened one eye. The pomegranate carried by the white mother during her lifetime bears many fruits, and the fruit is full. When Mi was sleeping, Susu took a pen and paper, went to Bai Zichen, smiled and looked at him. Can you teach me to paint? Bai Zichen naturally agreed. What to draw? That pomegranate tree. Good. Susu propped his chin and looked at the lifelike picture scroll in his hands, feeling a little lost. Tan Tai Jin never forgets. If it wasn't a natural evil, he would surely be able to put his pen in the world, and Wuning to set the world. When he was taught to draw common people's talisman, he was extremely intelligent. The pomegranate tree has the last few leaves. Bai Zichen handed her the pen. Come on. Susu also didn't refuse. Okay. She took the pen, and with a wave, a few irregular leaves dotted it. Susu went to see Bai Zichen's reaction. His expression was calm and gentle, as if he hadn't seen the damage caused by her ghost strokes. Susu asked, does it look good? Bai Zichen didn't even think about it, and said, it looks good. Susu couldn't help but smile, and looked at him. You know, I'm not good at painting. I don't know how to make a female celebrity. I can't write poems, and I can't dance. Bai Zichen was surprised. It was that Suzu's appearance was too deceptive, so that the appearance of harming the country and the people seemed to be like this when he was born. I don't know anything. Would you despise me? Bai Zichen said, no. Well, actually I will be the same. Susu picked up the pen. I will teach you. She took out a piece of drawing paper, moistened it with ink, and used the pen to go. She doesn't know a lot of things, but she also has a lot of weapons, catching monsters, drawing symbols, and healing the wounds. Do you know what magical things will happen if it is painted? Bai Zichen looked at the strange brush strokes, feeling a little secretive in his heart. Are you finally going to confess the origins to him? He had made up his mind long ago that no matter what she was, he would not let her go. Therefore, he pretended to be calm and asked, what will happen? He waited for the flowers on the paper, the living creatures to come out. It was nothing more than these weird things. But these things are not terrible to him. He has a cool personality since childhood, and his heart is deserted, and he is not afraid of ghosts and gods. The ink on the paper fainted, and what he was waiting for was a very light kiss from the corner of his lips. The soft lips of the woman fell on the corners of his lips, with a fleeting fragrance. He froze all over, and Susu had already retreated. She said solemnly, it will become a kiss. Have you learned it? The man in front of him had eyes as pitch black as ink, his Adam's apple rolled, and he whispered, yeah. Susu was expecting him to be happy, but her eyes were facing each other, and she felt her cheeks hot. Just about to stand up, the back of his head was held down. Under the fruitful tree, his lips were hot, and the autumn day became longer. Susu didn't know. From that moment on, he looked forward to the October wedding day. She liked him, he felt it. This world is so gentle. Chapter 131, The End. Before Chua put the list, Li Danjian was very nervous. Marrying Bai Zichen was still a member of Li's move. She didn't consider Bai Zichen's happiness or not. After all, the customs of Changgol town were overwhelming, and the spread of rumors made it impossible for Bai Zichen to gain a foothold in Changgol town if he didn't want it. What happened faster than Tru's result was the news of Bai Zichen's serious injury. A close friend of her boudoir pushed her, Dong Yang. I heard that Bai Zichen was bitten on an arm by a tiger while hunting. Now he is ill in bed. Why don't you go see it? What? Lu Danjian was shocked. How could Bai Zichen's skill be such a thing? She and Mother Lu rushed to Bai's house immediately and saw a doctor throw their hands out. Lu Danjian stepped forward. Doctor, how is Brother Zichen? The doctor said, the right arm is badly injured and I am unable to recover. It is really bad luck. I can't even pay for the consultation. Please ask what doctor. Why don't you have any money? Mother Lu only heard these words, just a few pennies, and Mother Lu knew that Bai Zichen had a family background. The people around were whispering. Bai Zichen had all the money defrauded by the beautiful girl who lived in his house. Now she is pitiful. She hurts her right arm and can't shoot arrows or write. Now, let alone being an official, it's hard to support herself. Lu Danjian's face changed a little, but after all, he did not step into this room. Mother Lu's expression was also ugly. She always said that she had retired, just to frighten Bai Zichen and get some good from him. That member Li is over 100 years away, and if Lu Danjian voluntarily retires to fill a house for someone, they will be the one who was pointed out. Bai Zichen was caught off guard this time. Mother, I want to divorce. Dong Yang, but our family will be gossiped. Doesn't your daughter compare to a few nasty words in your heart? Lu Danjian said, I want to divorce. Within 2 days, the Lu family received a ghostwriting letter from Bai Zichen, saying that they were willing to marry Lu Danjian. Lu Danjian was frightened, and his heart was full. That night, he carried a small sedan chair to Li Yuanwei's house. The day Lu Danjian returned to the door was also the day he was released. Sitting in the sedan chair, Lu Danjian listened to the lively discussion of the new master Zai Yuan. Young master Bai has outstanding literary skills and an extraordinary appearance. What are you talking about? Lu Danjian couldn't help getting off the sedan chair and grabbing a human being. Isn't he crippled? The man glanced at her with an inexplicable look. What nonsense are you talking about? Cursing people to be disabled. Lu Danjian kept his emotions strong. I heard it with my own ears. He was bitten by a tiger on his arm. How can the rumors be taken seriously? Bai Jiwan's hands are not serious. Lu Danjian didn't even have the thought of going back to the door, and as soon as he inquired, he fainted on the spot. Not only was Bai Zichen okay, his family was well, and she still knew Yuan, but unfortunately she couldn't hide from him, and didn't want to go in to visit him without telling him, and hurriedly married Li Yuan. Bai Zichen pursed his lips while looking at the huge monster in the small courtyard of the Bai family, not knowing how to explain to Susu. It doesn't hurt people. The monster resembles a tiger, but has blue-faced fangs and a lion tail. Since his birth, this monster will turn into a tiger and come down the mountain to visit him every year. Bai Zichen knew that he had a special physique, and he thought it was nothing before, but unexpectedly he was hit by Susu. The monster was not a fairy beast at first sight, even more terrifying than a monster. Once he even watched it swallow a dead soul. Bai Zichen lowered his eyes, emotions brewing in his eyes repeatedly. He didn't know whether this situation was useful for being pitiful. His eyes were red and he just wanted to talk. The monster rolled to the ground and turned into a cub of a milky cat. He walked up to Susu with a guilty conscience, lowered his head, and called hesitantly, Meow Tilda. Susu squatted down and looked at it. Oh Tilda, Meow Tilda. The tiger demon shivered, begging not to kill. The clean breath of God is incompatible with it. It hasn't grown its IQ in recent years. Just as it hesitated to leave Bai Zichen and escape by himself, Susu grabbed the breath on his body and touched its head. The tiger demon's hoof softened, almost limp to the ground. Does the last **** in the world kill him and his unlucky demon master? Susu pointed her finger at the center of its eyebrows. After a while, she let go and said in a low voice, Thank you, tiger demon. Ha, ha. The tiger demon's eyes widened. Bai Zichen looked at it. His eyes were very obvious, and he didn't leave quickly. It ran away with its tail clamped. Bai Zichen asked Susu with weird eyes, Aren't you afraid? Susu looked at him with a smile, and asked instead, "Do you know that I have a problem in your heart? Will you be afraid of me? Do you dare to marry me? It's good if you don't regret it." A few days later, Bai Zichen knew that Lu Danjian had retired categorically and hurriedly married Li Yuanwei. He heard the rumors outside. "A bit funny, you made them think I was bitten." Susu nodded and said frankly, "If she walks in and never abandons you, she knows it's all an illusion. But Mother Lu and Danjian Lu are both cool people. They want to force Bai Zichen. They are now being backlashed. They were pointed out because they were the first to divorce, and they were blinded by jokes. What about you? If I really mutilated my right arm, would you leave me?" Susu didn't expect Bai Zichen to ask this way. He asked calmly, but his eyes were slightly drooping, but his inner thoughts were exposed. He looked at his dark eyes. "See it for yourself." She took his hand, placed it between her eyebrows, and closed her eyes. The white divine mark on the eyebrows appeared, and a scene appeared in front of Bai Zichen. Thousands of years ago, in a small town in the jungle, the young Xuanyi was lying on the ground dying, his left eye was blinded, and a group of children threw stones at him. The girl leading the horse walked by, picked him up, and helped him on the horse. She quarreled with him, but her hand wiped the blood from his right eye little by little. Inside the tree demon law body, she cut out her eyes and changed them for him. The kiss that fell on his lips was very light and light, dispelling the darkness of a whole world. Susu opened his eyes. "I won't leave you. There was no one, and it won't be in the future. Respect you for your strength when you sacrificed for the 6 realms, and pity you for your loneliness that no one can understand." Bai Zichen retracted his hand, held back the tears in his eyes, and said with a smile, "Yes." The day they got married was October in the world. Suzu didn't use any spells, and quietly and seriously learned embroidering hijab with Zai Niang. There are a lot of guests here, and she has been married in a wine shop since she was a child. Along the way, the enthusiastic and kindly joyous sounds of the villagers were permeated, and she saw from the gap in Hippa that person's eyes were always smiling. "He is clean and humble with red clothes and ink hair." She put down her hand. At this moment, not only Tan Taijin waited for a long time, she also waited for a long time. They were married as 2 ordinary people. He was no longer a demon born with evil and slaughter in her bones, nor was she a goddess with a mission. "In the next life, I hope that you will be an ordinary person, have joy, no sorrow, and experience a peaceful and happy life." What she said back then, even though he died away, the obsession in the remnant soul has been remembered for many years. Bai Zichen has always felt that this day is not true. He provoked the bride's hijab and saw Susu's smiling eyes. His heart finally settled down, and the corners of his mouth rose. 11 Niang said congratulations. They drank the wine. 11 Niang smiled from ear to ear and said, "The bride has her hair tied." The etiquette of Changal town in the world, Susu, has long been learned. She used silver scissors to cut off a small strand of hair between herself and Tan Taijin, and tied them together with a red thread, saying, "The knot of hair is a husband and wife, and there is no doubt about love. Even Lit's high, the white head is inseparable." The 2 bundles of hair were put together and placed in a red wooden box. Bai Zichen looked at the closed wooden box. He had never thought that he could really wait until this day. 11 Niang retired. Under the beating of the candlelight, her brows and eyes faded away from the loneliness of the goddess, and she was a little more moving by the fireworks in the world. Susu made up her face and gently stroked his Wangxiyu's face. "Can you tell me who my husband is at this moment?" he said. Bai Zichen. Susu didn't refute him, holding his hand. The red string glass beads were put on his hand. "I've been to the Imperial Mausoleum, and I found the beads. I have already made the sword is that weren't made. I have walked the road you walked back then." He lowered his eyes, firmly covering up the emotions in his eyes. That was the softest word he has ever heard in his life. The epiphany of the Devil's Palace has bloomed year after year, and Susu and Ami have also waited year after year. "Husband, when are you willing to go home with me?" he muttered. "When did you know?" Knowing that he has not forgotten the memory that belongs to Tan Taijin. Susu held up his face and looked into his eyes with a soft look. Tan Taijin is not someone who will fall in love at first sight. He is a lunatic obsessed to death, the craziest fool in the world. Tan Taijin could not argue, his Adam's apple rolled. He had left a retreat for everyone in the 6 realms, including the demon tiger who had been with him for more than 500 years. He let the tiger swallow the ancient gluttonous true soul on the marrow mark to help it cleanse the marrow. The gluttony left on the marrow mark is just an empty shell of greed. He never thought that he could come back one day. He thought that she became a asterisk and his soul was lost, which was the best ending for her. Unexpectedly, he was cold-blooded and merciless when he lost his love thread. He didn't have time to let the tiger demon leave. He swallowed everything. After the tiger demon was involved in the same path of compassion, he ignorantly swallowed the soul he had dissipated in the same path of compassion. After 1,000 years, his demon soul reunited and plunged into the world. He originally planned to live an ordinary life in this life, not to look for her, not to inquire about her slenderness. Until that day, he saw Amy and couldn't move anymore. 3 points are like her eyebrows, so that he can use all the goodness of this life to take Amy home. He missed her so much. Everything now is a picture he never dared to think of. He even pretended that he was by Zichen, not daring to expose the beauty at the moment. Tan Taijin asked hardly, "Am I let you down?" Susu never knew that one day he could feel so sorry for someone like this. Years later, he did not dare to return to the demon realm, so he settled in a corner, and after identifying his identity, what he feared most was still disappointing her. He once thought that he would disappoint her if he was alive. She shook her head and gently wrapped him around him. Tears also filled her eyes. "You don't know how grateful I am. You can come back to me again. Tan Taijin, I have a lot of things I want to confess with you. Amy is your daughter, I know." He whispered. If he didn't understand at first, what else would he didn't understand later? Amy is like her, more like him. God knows how happy he was at that time. The third young lady in General Yu's mansion has liked the young emperor who embroidered her hijab. Li Sizu in the dreamland has liked Kang Juman who replenished her soul. She paused, and her voice was very light and very soft. Tan Taijin heard the voice of the goddess as gentle as the spring breeze in March. "Just like me now, I love you who forgot to go home." The candlelight reflected his silhouette, and his eyes suddenly wetted. In order to wait for this sentence, he stayed alone in the Kang Leng Gui Cho River, enduring the pain of being swallowed for hundreds of years and growing again. He walked across the spooky land, behind the lonely moon. He has been in the same path of sorrow for thousands of years, holding back the wind, and slowly condensing his soul. Even Dao sighed for him. Why is it so bitter to love someone? He thought that no matter how long he waited for this life, he was still trapped in the nightmare dream, the boy who devoured the glazed shards and could not wait for the goddess to descend to the earth. But at some point, his goddess looked back and finally saw his shadow in his eyes. Asterisk. When the blue and purple night flowers of the demon realm bloomed all over the hillside, all the demons in the demon realm knew that their demon lord was coming back. That day, La Ying solemnly sorted out her skin, and all the big monsters stood in front of the Monster World monument to greet each other. Tan Taijin had thought about many scenes in the monster world today, but he never thought that when he stepped into the world of demons, all demons would welcome each other respectfully and joyously, and tears even appeared in the eyes of La Ying and Jingmi who stood in front. Those new and childish faces in the demon world hide behind their parents and look at him quietly with the respect of the monarch. In his whole life, he was completely cold-eyed and bullied when he was young. When he was an emperor, he was used to seeing the eyes of others with fear and disgust, and later became a demon god, who stepped through the contemptuous eyes of the 6 realms alone. He thought that in this life, he would end the snowy winter day in the world forever. At that time, Tan Taijin didn't know that the years and the ways of heaven were generous and gentle, and his sacrifices and the hardships he had walked through alone in this year gave him back in another way. His little me raised his head, proud that he was her father, shocked and hugged Amy, almost crying. "It's great that Dig is fine, otherwise, how can I explain to Lord Demon Lord?" Amy was very guilty, and the milky voice comforted him. "I'm sorry, I'm terrified uncle, Amy worried you." Susu took Tan Taijin's hand and led him through the densely blooming world of monsters. The faint blue flowers are in full bloom, fireflies are flying, and mushrooms grow under the trees. Tan Taijin's black pupils reflected the foreground, the magic pulse surged, and the mountains and rivers were magnificent. He used to have no home, drifted away for half his life, and had nowhere to lean. But Tan Tai Jin knew that at this moment, he was going home. End. Chapter 132, Fanwai 1 Xiaoyao Ozong Related Times by Carefully. Xiaoyao Ozong * meeting. Tan Tai Jin remembered that the sky was blue that day, and his body was eroded and rotted in the river water. By chance, he obtained the magic weapon, crawled out of that place, and regrown his body. 500 years, he searched Gikuhere and still didn't see Yu Zaivu's soul. So he wanted to live. Only if you are alive can you see her again one day. After 500 years in the Gikuhere River, he looked like an evil spirit, pale and dilapidated, and fell helplessly on the green grass. He didn't know what kind of monster he was, and his whole body was rotten for a round, like mud on the ground, and then slowly regrouped. Only with a pair of eyes that I tried my best to protect, I can still see the colors of the world. That was the first time he saw Lord Jiaoyao. The old man sat on the donkey and passed by him. Tan Tai Jin looked at the passing person with a pair of cold eyes. The snakes, insects, rats and ants all around him retreated, and only the old man came over. Zhao Yu looked at the young man with a tenacious desire for survival, and sighed. The hexagram says that there is a difference in the southeast. I don't know whether it is a blessing or a curse, but it actually refers to you. One thought of life, one thought of death, all beings have spirits, where do you come from and have a home? The boy fell into the grass weakly with his boneless fingers, and said nothing. Zhao Yuping felt that he was a bit pitiful, and the boy's eyes were cold and icy, but when he mentioned the word home, his eyes became dazed. Zhao Yu knows that people who have been alone for most of their lives will have this look. So from now on, Xiaoyao Ozong will be your home. Tan Tai Jin heard him say this. That day Jiaoyao took him back, knowing that this person was going to save him. Tan Tai Jin's thoughts of waiting for an opportunity to kill and steal treasure were lost. He was too weak and needed a place full of wings and could not easily sacrifice the god slaughter crossbow in his body. When he was a child, he heard the story of the farmer and the snake. The farmer rescued the snake, but was bitten by the snake. He felt that he was the snake in the story, and looked at the land that Zhao Yu had taken him through with cold eyes. Tan Tai Jin lay on the donkey, and Zhao, who was holding the donkey, sang a song. The singing was broad-minded, with comforting power. Tan Tai Jin held on for a while, and fell asleep in such singing. Zhao Yu didn't look back, and a brocade blanket covered the young man out of thin air. The donkey took them through the jungle by the river and flew to Xiaoyao Ozianshan. Here, Tan Tai Jin opened his eyes. He was able to fall asleep for the first time in 500 years. There is a magnificent cloud and mist. There is a large farmland under the mountain gate, row upon row of farmland, which is planted with herbs, which looks green and full of vitality. There is a forest of persimmons in front of me. The persimmons have matured and hung on the branches without falling. Seeing him looking at the persimmons, Zhao Yu smiled and said, "Let's turn around and let Zhang Hai pick two for you to taste." Going further, lush herbs are also planted in front of the door. Several men greeted them and said joyfully, "Master, Master, you are finally back." "Hey, who is he?" Zhao Yu smiled and said, "A poor man." Several big faces came up at the same time. The head was a slightly fat man with a hair crown, a gourd hung around his waist, and his eyebrows drooped and said, "I have suffered a serious injury. It must be in pain." Several young disciples had sympathy in their eyes. Tan Tai Jin's black eyes were on guard and looked at them calmly. There are no good people in this world, and the old man must have no plans to save him. Zhao Yu waved a few men away. Go, do your own thing, do what you do around him." The crowd clasped their fists and saluted, and left with a smile. Zhao Yu took him into the room, waved a huge wooden barrel, and steam was in the barrel. Zhao Yu made a seal with one hand, and read the syntax decision. The herbs outside flew into the house and melted in the water. Zhao Yu said, "It will be very painful. I will help you clean up the rotten flesh and bear with me for a while." Tan Tai Jin fell into the barrel and snorted. Zhao Yu sighed and said, "Call it out if it hurts. It's easier to shout out." Tan Tai Jin still did not speak, gritted his teeth. He heard the lark chirping outside the window in his ears, and the voice of the fat monk commanding other disciples came from the fat monk who had just met. "Zanglin, go to Master Uncle to get the spirit pill. Zangshu, where are your clothes? You have a similar physique to him. find a set. Tibetan wind. You know, my house is full of energy and is suitable for healing. I will vacate the house. Brother Zanghai, don't rush it. Smelly boy. A few laughed together. Zhao Yu also had a faint smile in his eyes. He made a pot of tea, and the fragrance of the tea in the room curled up, dispelling the smell of carrion from Tan Tai Jin. The teenager sits naked in a wooden barrel. If it is someone else, he will always be upset, but he doesn't. He doesn't care about his nakedness, and he works hard to absorb the medicine in the barrel. Zhao Yao knew from that moment, this young man has a tough mind, but lacks the shame that ordinary people should have. He will definitely be a big role in the future. Whether the future is good or bad depends on good fortune. Xiao Yaozong is good at divining hexagrams. Zhao Yao traveled for several years, returned from experience, picked up a young man, accepted him as a close disciple, and gave him the name Kanjuman. Jumin means 9 days. Tantai Cinder hurts better, the day of the tea ceremony. Zhao Yu's eyes were warm, took the teacup, and touched his head, with a kind voice. In the beginning of man, the starting point is not the same, but Jumin, good or evil, success or failure, is not in the world, in your original mind. Tan Tai Jin raised his eyes, sniffed in his heart, and replied respectfully and in a low voice on his face, the disciple, please keep it in mind. He bowed down. There is a white jade in the sky, and 5 cities on the 12th floor. The fairy caressed me, knotted hair and received longevity. Note 3. In the eyes of Tan Tai Jin, Xiaoyao sect was just a stepping stone to heal his wounds and get into the immortal way. Tan Tai Jin thought coldly, they had raised a poisonous snake but didn't know it. They had seen their most embarrassed look, and when his poisonous snake became stronger in the future, it would be possible to kill all of them. At first, Tan Tai Jin did think this way, but he didn't expect that the style of painting didn't know how to go further and further. Xiaoyao Zong * a group of scumbags and the only tyrant. Tan Tai Jin always knew what he wanted. When he was immortal, he admired the power of Confucianism and the immortal. On the day his body grows well, he said, the opportunity to draw energy into the body came. It stands to reason that the martial art might also publish a booklet Xianja and the like. So he went to the Tibetan Sea. Zanghai was sewing clothes. Tan Tai Jin took a look, looked away, and humbled, Brother Zanghai, my health is getting better. Master asked me to follow the brothers to learn the introductory mentality first. Fatty Zanghai pinched the clothes with his fingers, bit the thread off his teeth, and said cheerfully, don't worry, the younger brother is still weak, and his cultivation is very hard. He needs a strong body. Tan Tai Jin was silent for a moment, and looked at the thread he had bitten off. I see. Waited for 3 days. Tan Tai Jin, brother. Good. Teach today, you remember. Tan Tai Jin's eyes were dull, and he listened attentively. Sit with closed eyes and mind, hold solid and quietly thinking about God. Knock your teeth 36, hold Kunlun with both hands. Drums are blasted from left and right, and you can smell it at 24 degrees. Swing slightly to shake the Tianju, shake the Tianju. Note 1. Tan Tai Jin's breath stuck in half, opened his eyes, and whispered, Big brother. Zanghai knocked on his head, don't worry, let me think about it. It's been too long for entraining the breath into the body, and the brother has almost forgotten it. Tan Tai Jin held back the anger in his heart, with a jade-like beautiful face, and said with a smile, okay. After a while, several senior brothers from Heishalin Feng gathered to teach the younger brothers how to breathe into the body. Several people stumbled and pieced it together, and when it came to such a 3-time completion, Shen Shui swallowed 9 times, swallowed gurgling sounds, and the 100 pulses were self-adjusted. Note 2. They diverged. Zanghai, that's it, I remembered it like this back then. Tibetan Lin, no, brother, I remember this sentence at the back. Zhangfen, what Brother Zanglin said is right. Brother Zanghai, you forgot that you had been absorbing the breath for 3 years, and the respected master thought you had a wrong spiritual root test. Cold sweat eases from Zanghai's forehead. Ha ha ha, junior brother, don't worry. Tan Tai Jin looked at them blankly, heard these words, smiled and said, okay. A bunch of junk stuff. They put together the formula for 3 days, and finally compiled a booklet on the 3rd day. Several people surrounded Tan Tai Jin. Little junior brother, it's correct this time, surely it's true. We also consulted senior uncle and senior sister Lan. Yes, right, little brother, hurry up and learn. Tan Tai Jin Mu had a face, and wanted to sneer. After enduring and forbearing, he barely gave a shy smile. Thank you, brothers, I have already enlightened myself. He raised his hand, and a faint white gas appeared in his palm. The sea, forest and wind are all in admiration. Brother, I should build the foundation. Zhang Hai happily stretched out a hand on his shoulder. Junior brother, congratulations, martial law. After successful entrainment, you can take a 3-month vacation. Looking at their envious eyes, Tan Tai Jin thought of hacking to death in his heart. Ha ha, they didn't understand Tan Tai Jin's yin and yang strangeness. The brothers were still worried. Little brother, you didn't come here by coincidence. After 2 months, you will have to test the Xiaoyao Heart Sutra, and beginner disciples will also have to silently vest the sutra. If you fail to pass, you will be punished. If you have time, you can recite it, but stabilize the spiritual body and stabilize the Taoist heart. Fourth senior brother Lin Feng leaned in his ear. Don't be afraid of the younger brother. The senior brothers will quietly transmit your voice to you when the time comes, and you will not be punished. Thank you, brother. The Heart Sutra of Xiaoyao sect is hundreds of pages thick, and it is an unspeakable pain in the hearts of all Xiaoyao sect disciples to memorize it word by word. On the day of the test of the Heart Sutra, Tan Tai Jin silently memorized around in the sea of knowledge, holding his arms and looking coldly at the entire trial site. The disciples of the Xiaoyao sect in green and white shirts, all scratching their ears and cheeks with painful expressions. He later realized that he had entered a wonderful sect. The whole staff is lazy, happy to live, and the spiritual roots are extremely poor. Instead of this, it is better to be expelled from the division and find another way out. He raised his hand and erased the Happy Heart Sutra that had been drawn up in the sea of knowledge. Tan Tai Jin curled his lips sarcastically. How could the beast be with the flock? After Heishalin Feng finished silent, he quietly transmitted the sound to Tan Tai Jin Shiai. He ignored this group of waste and looked towards the sky outside. I am afraid it is winter in the world, but it does not snow in the winter of Xianmen. After the fairy breath is curled up, it is an open and rolling mountain. Those who fail the assessment will be punished by thinking about the cliff in 5 days. Although Xiaoyao sect was sloppy, it was very strict with the disciples who couldn't memorize the Heart Sutra, and lashed them 80 times. Tan Tai Jin took off the blue and white shirt with the fish pattern of the Xiaoyao zong, put on a black robes, and waited for the call of the law enforcement elders. There is a moon in Xiaoyao's Yanshan in winter. When the warm moonlight illuminates the land in winter, Tan Tai Jin leaned at the door, thinking of the person who had been missing for 500 years. He didn't know how powerful the world was to resurrect a person, but it was definitely not a place like Xiaoyao sect. He waited to be summoned to be punished. He had just come out of the moon and waited until the moonlight faded, and there was still no one to punish him. Tan Tai Jin got up and walked towards Sai over the cliff. Under the gurgling waterfall, the four leaned together and sighed. They smacked their lips with a few **** welts on their backs. Master Jinkin is still so ruthless, and it hurts me personally. Zhang Hai touched his **** back, patted them one by one, but it's only 20 lashes per person. Get up quickly and change your clothes. Don't let the younger brother see it. It hurts brother. Several people stood up and changed their clothes. Zhang Shu said, fortunately, it's not the younger brother who beat us. It's okay to beat us. Anyway, the skin is thick and I was used to being beaten back then. Yes, the younger brother is young and still a mortal. Zhang Hai took a sip of the wine in the gourd. He was injured. He was injured so badly before. He was lying there alone. Zhang Fen told him jokes without laughing. The sadness is hidden in his eyes. Since he has become our junior, we are useless. We can't do anything else for him. If we can protect him, we must protect him. Tan Tai Jin watched this scene coldly, walked back to his residence, and stayed up all night. He hadn't made bigger yet, and the next day Zhang Hai brought him food and came in. Come on, brother, taste it. Brother has just learned the braised lion head. Zhang Hai looked at his Xuan Yi. Hey junior brother, why don't you wear a disciple suit? Tan Tai Jin picked up his chopsticks and smashed the lion's head. I don't like white. The lion head shattered under the chopsticks. The black color is good. The black color is good. The younger brother wears the mysterious clothes and is handsome and handsome. Zhang Hai still smiled, turning back brother to sew the fish pattern on you. We from the Xiaoyao sect, we must have a sign. Tan Tai Jin didn't speak, he lowered his eyes and took a mouthful of the lion's head entrance. The Tibetan sea is very soft and melts in the mouth. Tan Tai Jin whispered, okay. Later, Zhang Hai added silver fish patterns on all his mysterious clothes, including Tan Tai Jin's boots. That was the first time that Tan Tai Jin had tasted respect after 500 years. In the second year, he recites the Heart Sutra of Xiaoyao Zong. Tan Tai Jin finished memorizing silently, raised his eyes to look at the vast sky, knowing the sea is the voice of the brothers whispering to him to transmit the correct Heart Sutra. This group of waste does not seem to be that abominable. Chapter 133 Extra 2, Haruka Sect. Xiaoyao Zong * Outlook on Life. That year, after Tan Tai Jin had finished the Xiaoyao Jing test, the four brothers of Heishilinfeng were no longer able to teach him, so Jiaoyao taught Tan Tai Jin himself. Can you play chess? Tan Tai Jin shook his head, no. Come and sit down and teach you for the teacher. Tan Tai Jin sat down in front of Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu said, chess is like life, and watching chess is worth seeing. Zhao Yu's Yanzhen gave Tan Tai Jin the rules of chess. The master and apprentice played against each other. Jiaoya held the white sun, and Tan Tai Jin held the black sun. The boy's fingertips were pale and cold, and the jade-like black chess pieces were very beautiful in his slender fingers. Tan Tai Jin is very smart, almost Zhao Yu have said it again, and he can learn by analogy. After a while, Tan Tai Jin lost. He pursed his lips, his obsidian eyes ignited with interest. Come again. Zhao Yu played another game with him, looking at the chess face. Zhao Yu sighed in his heart. Watching chess intimately, the young man dropped the chess to kill the yin, and did not regard the life of the soldiers as fate, and had no compassion. Those chess pieces were sacrificed at his fingertips, but the young man only saw victory in his eyes. Unscrupulous, Zhao Yu thought of the word. Jumin, go to the library at night, look for the 8th blue book cover in the 2nd row and 3 rows, and read it back to my teacher tomorrow. Although Tan Tai Jin didn't understand his meaning, to him, Zhao Yu was obviously more capable than Zhang Hai and the others. He didn't respect Zhao Yu in his heart, so he looked down and said, okay. According to Yi Jiaoya's words, Tan Tai Jin pulled out the book for him to memorize. The blue book cover seems to be a few years old, and it is called Enlightenment. Seeing this name, Tan Tai Jin frowned. When I opened it, there was obviously a child's immature note on it. Tan Tai Jin carried the book and looked for the senior apprentice in Kangshid to register. Senior brother was very surprised. Why brother Ju Min read the children's enlightenment book? Master told me. Tan Tai Jin asked. Brother said, this is a children's enlightenment book. The brother smiled and said, this is a book for children under 10 in the sect. I got it. In the evening, Tan Tai Jin opened the book, and the first page was about love. He stared at the word for a while, and turned to the second page blankly. Good. He turned it over again. It was loyalty. Tan Tai Jin read it again and memorized the entire book. Second Japan thought Jiaoya was going to test him, but he didn't. You come as a teacher, and you have a task for the teacher. Tan Tai Jin went to Xiaoyao sect to take up the task for the first time. He thought it was killing demons, but Zhao Yu didn't expect Zhao Yu to take him to a dilapidated alley in the world. In the wind and snow, stood an old woman with a cane. Did you see her? After her son went to war, she just stood here and waited for 15 years, but she didn't know that his son had died on the battlefield. Tomorrow is her deadline. You become her son, and she has a wish. Master. Tan Tai Jin frowned. Ju Min, let's go. Zhao Yu brushed his hand, and Tan Tai Jin changed his appearance. Tan Tai Jin stood in the wind and snow for a while, and walked towards the old woman. With those dull eyes with no expression, the old lady was like a piece of decayed wood, wrapped around her ruined jacket, and snow fell on her white hair. The moment she saw Tan Tai Jin, her emotionless eyes slowly filled with tears. Tremblingly said, Jaya, is this your mother's Jaya? Those thin hands, like old tree bark, touched Tan Tai Jin's face. Tan Tai Jin was silent. He has no mother and doesn't know how people get along with her mother. He is not Li Jai, nor can he imitate Li Jai. The old woman welcomed him into the house with joy and talked a lot. Look, Jaya, these are the clothes my mother made for you all these years. Try to see if it fits. Several sets of clothes, from summer to winter, have fine stitches. Tantijin looked at the new clothes under his palm, and then at the old woman's thin patched clothes. Well, it fits. That night, he had dinner with a strange old woman. It was blowing snow outside, and the lamp-like interior was filled with the fragrance of chicken soup. The chicken stewed very softly. The old woman was talking about how Li Jai was when she was a child. Tantijin looked down and listened. Li Jai's room is very clean. It is cleaned all year round at first glance. The bedding is thin, but very dry. Tantijin put his arm on his back, and didn't fall asleep. When the sky was about to light up, Tantijin felt something and pushed open the door of the old woman's room. She is dead. Died in this winter blizzard. He was surrounded by neatly folded sets of Li Jai's clothes. His hands and feet were blue and his face was peaceful. Tantijin looked around for a while, closed the door, and passed by the yard. Chicken feathers are buried in the snow. It is the chicken that the old woman depends on. Last night, she used it to feed her son. The old woman waited for 15 years without changing the wind and rain, and was very happy when she died. Zhao Yu appeared and said to Tantijin, "Let's go." The small courtyard closed in the wind and snow. Within a year, Zhao Yu didn't teach Tantijin too much magic, but took him on tours from time to time. Sometimes he was asked to be a general, and the captain died in an encirclement in order to protect him. In fact, as long as the school lieutenant is willing to let go, not only will he not die, he will also be able to give himself up to the senior officials, and the family's wives and young children will not be helpless in this life. However, the captain put on the cloak of Tantijin and resolutely said, "The general, hurry up, this life will cherish it." In the eyes of Tantai's Cinderella, the sky filled the sky, and the young soldier in his own clothes and armor fell under the arrows of the sky. There was another time when Zhao Yu asked him to be a 7 or 8-year-old boy. The child's beggar brother robbed someone else's buns and was beaten all over his body, but he ran back madly and handed the dirty buns to his mouth. "Brother Wen, you can eat it." Brother Wen has not been hungry after eating outside. Tantijin turned into a thin child, sitting in front of the ruined temple, watching the pouring rain outside. He lowered his head and took a bite. The steamed bun in his mouth was cold. The 8 to 9-year-old boy next to him swallowed and tried not to look at the steamed bun. The little sons are all in the school. When the younger brother is older, the older brother will also send the younger brother to study. After studying, he can be tested for the champion. Then, the younger brother will never be hungry again, and he will have big drumsticks to eat every day. Tantijin chewed the steamed bun in his mouth and asked, "What about you?" The boy said, "Me, when the time comes, Brother Wen will find me an errand to do." Tantijin did not speak. The rain stopped the next day, and the boy who was curled up was hungry and woke up. "Wendy, Wendy?" There was no one around, except for a delicate wooden box. The boy opened the wooden box and there was a roast chicken inside. Tantijin did not hold an umbrella, and the rain did not stain his black robe at all. Zhao Yu raised his eyes and smiled. "I'm back." "Yes, master." Zhao Yu still didn't ask anything. Tantijin still didn't say anything. After a long time, Zhang Hai asked about this little junior brother. "At the beginning, master always took you to experience. What have you learned?" Several senior brothers probed their heads and came over, obviously very curious. When they experienced that year, they learned how to drop the demon and how to break the water. As a genius junior, would they learn something different from them? "What have you learned?" Think of the old woman in the wind and snow, the young captain who died for loyalty, the little beggar who robbed the buns and was beaten. Faces flashed before her eyes. After a long silence, Tantijin said coldly, "The world is stupid. See forest wind, Xiaoyao Zong love someone." Tantijin remembered that in the second year after he went to Xiaoyao sect, the third senior brother Zhanglin had a sweetheart. It was a new female disciple of Xiao Chuofeng's uncle, named Naishui. Tibetan Lin talked to the brothers every day about how beautiful, intelligent and understanding Naishui was. Tantijin saw the woman once. She was wearing Xiaoyao Zong's Xingyi, with hand-woven tassels on her belt, and her eyes were hooked inward, slightly upwards, and she always spoke with a smile. Xiaojiabiayu's face is very sweet. When I first saw Tan Taijin, Naishui's eyes straightened for a moment, and he leaned over with a smile, and if there were no other hands, he tried to hook Tan Taijin's clothes. Tan Taijin's mouth curled up, his eyes mockingly looked at her, whispered, "Sister Nai, my third brother is watching you behind you." "What?" Naishui was startled and looked back and found that there was no one behind him. Looking at Tan Taijin again, Naishui was a little embarrassed and retracted his hand in embarrassment. Such a person has lost 2 souls by hooking up 3 souls in Tibetan forest. The spirit stones of Xiaoyao sect can only be found when disciples go out to drop demons, or hunt demons and beasts. Every time when Tibetan forest came back from 9 deaths and his injuries were still not healed, he would give the spirit weapon he bought to Naishui. Sometimes it is a jade bracelet for body protection, sometimes it is a hairpin. Zhanghai and Zhangshu Zhangfen couldn't stand it anymore, and he persuaded, Tibet Forest, "We all know that you like Naishui, but Naishui has accepted your favor, never in return, and I am right to become a Taoist couple with you. I don't think about it, I don't think junior sister Nai is as good as you say." Zhang Lin shook his head, "Senior brother, why do you say that, sister Nai? These things are not what sister Nai asked me for. She has low spiritual power. I just gave her something to protect her body." When the Tibetan forest left, Zhang Feng said, "Brother Ju Min, please persuade senior brother Zhanglin to stop." Tan Taijin raised his narrow eyes and said, "Don't do useless work." One night in midsummer, Tan Taijin was lying in the treetops and met Naishui and the disciples of Hewanzong having an affair. The man from the Hewan sect was born with red lips and white teeth, and he was handsome and handsome. Naishui clung to him, babbling. The waterfall rushed past, and Naishuiliri was half ashamed. "What did the fall give you again?" Naishui smiled and said, "The Briataling spirit." The Hewan sect man raised his eyebrows. "This is a good thing for marrow washing. How can my elder brother take me to do double repairs? That guy is just a wood. He is incestuous, but only courtesy. He insists that he be married to him." Tan Taijin looked at it coldly for a while, then lay back to the treetop. His heart was cold, and he didn't want to worry about such meddling. For Tan Taijin, the resurrection of Yizaivu was the big deal. Zhanglin himself is blind, and if he likes such a person, he should pay the price for his stupidity. At that time, the Requiem lantern had not yet appeared, and Tan Taijin often went to the immortal caves to search for the soul grass. Thousands of soulgrass were collected, which could be worthy of the one-time effect of the Requiem. Returning from the Xinhua cave, Tan Taijin met the anxious Tibetan wind. "Little junior brother, you came back just right. Third senior brother has an accident." Tan Taijin followed him and found that Tibetan forest was lying on the collapsed tree. His face was blue, and there were 2 huge poisonous snake teeth marks on his ankles. How can it be a red demon training? Kai Lian is a great demon, and he is still carrying poison. The senior brothers all have ugly faces and help the Tibetan forest to remove the poison. Finally Zhao Yu rushed over to stabilize the Tibetan forest's body. In his arms, everyone saw a pair of well-protected earrings. Zhanghai was so angry that he patted the gourd on his waist, clenched a fist and said, "It's because of junior sister Nai again." Zhang Shu sighed, "Stupid boy, if this continues, sooner or later, he will die because of Naishui." Tan Taijin leaned faintly by the door, nothing to do with him. Tibetan wind said, "Hey, what is this?" Zhanghai picked it up and said, "It's a few soul-inducing grasses. What does Tibetan forest want this thing for?" Tan Taijin paused and looked up. In the hands of Zhanghai, there were a few soul-attracting grasses with faint blue luster in the hands of Zhanghai. The hearty laughter of Tibetan Lin seemed to be heard in his ears. Although the younger brother refuses to say what to do to find the soul grass, the third brother will see it in the future, and he will definitely help the younger brother to collect it. Tan Taijin walked over, took the soul-attracting grass, and suddenly walked out without a word. "Little junior brother, what are you going to do?" Tan Taijin Yuyan walked out of Xiaoyao looking for the smell to find the red practicing snake monster. He cut his finger and laid it out for a while. Kai Lianben was cultivating, and he was scalded by the terrifying evil spirit in his blood, turning into his original form, and rolling out with a squeal. Tan Tai-jin didn't intend to kill him. Chilean snake monster saw the lines on Tan Tai-jin's shirt. Chilean said in surprise, "Who are you to help you get revenge?" The boy bent his lips. "No, I'm here to ask you for help. Legend has it that Kai Lian can be both male and female, and the transfigured men and women are charming and passionate, and snake-like in nature. I believe this is a favor. Kai Lian will definitely be willing to help. If you don't help, then go to death." Kai Lian looked at the boy with a cold smile in front of him, and nodded repeatedly. "Help, I will do whatever you say." The winter of Xiaoyao Xianshan hadn't arrived yet, and a major event had happened in the sect. Little Hump Naishui and the Chilean snake demon's fornication were discovered. No matter how enlightened the Xiaoyao sect is, the immortal demon's fornication can't be accommodated. What's more, Naishui stole the spirit pill from the sect and gave it to Kai Lian. When he was discovered, Naishui already had Kai Lian's flesh and blood in his stomach. The entire sect was a sensation, and if Naishui wanted to survive, he had to extract the fairy marrow and walk through the spirit-slashing ladder. Naishui kowtowed and cried, "No, I know I was wrong, please let me go. Remove the fairy marrow, she is a mortal, walking through the ladder of spirits, more painful than burning body." The law enforcement uncle looked at her coldly. "It's okay if you don't want to go, let the great red demon go for you." Naishui's face was pale, and he wanted to seek help from the Chilean great demon who was usually eloquent. However, the smiling person in the past has long since disappeared. Where can she be found and suffered for her? Naishui fell to the ground weakly in despair. The uncle law enforcer had long known the result and snorted coldly. Tibetan Forest looked at Naishui from a distance. Before Naishui was pulled out of the fairy bone, he said in a dumb voice, "I will go for her." "Tianglin, you are crazy," the seniors said in anger. Tan Tai-jin turned his eyes and looked at the Tibetan Forest coldly. The Tibetan Forest shook his head and bowed to the brothers one by one. "Master, the disciples are not filial." Brother, you are going crazy in the Tibetan Forest." Naishui was pregnant, and if she really walked through the spirit-slashing ladder, mortals would not be able to become her. She would die. Zhao Yu closed her eyes and sighed deeply. So that day, Tan Tai-jin looked at the stupid man, walked step by step through the 1,000-step spirit-slashing ladder, and fell in front of him with blood. He paused and supported the Tibetan Forest. With tears in his eyes, Zanglin smiled bitterly. "Little junior brother. Well, Brother San, when you like a woman in the future, remember to like a good person." Tan Tai-jin whispered, "Do you regret it?" Zhang Lin shook his head. "No regrets, men have to be responsible for the people they like." But since then, Zhang Lin doesn't like her anymore. You fall in love with a girl, even if she is a bad person, a liar, a slutty woman, but you have to be nice to her and protect her innocent. On the day when Tibetan Forest descended as a mortal, he was very open-minded. He carried his bags and clasped his fists. Zanhai turned his head, his eyes were wet. Xiaoyao sect couldn't tolerate Naishui. At this juncture, Naishui was unwilling to follow the Tibetan Forest. With her fairy spirit still there, she decided to go all out to find a male Xiao from Kai Lian or Hewan sect. On the day she fled from Xiaoyao sect, a pair of black boots appeared in front of her. The teenager tilted his head and smiled at her. "Your life is not worth his cultivation. My brother San, how lonely alone." Before the winter's heavy snow came, Tan Tai-jin was lying on the roof with blood all over his body and Naishui's blood on his face, thinking of the liar who left the soul-killing nail in his heart. His fingers scratched the clean snow surface on the eaves tiles of the human world. He murmured, "Yizaivu, selfish me, don't you deserve to love you? Didn't I, who killed Naishui without any sense of guilt, never changed?" At that time, Tan Tai-jin didn't know what he would do for Suzu in the future, how he swallowed loneliness and tears, carved a tombstone in the imperial mausoleum, and walked through the path of loneliness, bringing spring to the six realms. Chapter 134, Fan Wai 3 times the end of Xiaoyao Zong. Xiaoyao Zong * Xiaoyao and kindness. After the Tibetan Forest went down the mountain, Tan Tai-jin never saw him again. Naishui's death was like the snow in the world in winter. After the beginning of spring, the snow melted and no one mentioned it again. Zhao Yu called Tan Tai-jin to go over and said, "Go to think over the cliff and be punished." Tan Tai-jin said, "Why did master punish me?" What did you go to the world for a few days ago? Tan Tai-jin said calmly, purchasing clothes. The disciples have registered with Brother Ga. Zhao Yu shook his head, and the dust in his hand slapped him on the back. The sect has the rules of the sect, and the Xiaoyou sect talks about cause and effect. Naishui and Kai Lian have fornication. You must remove the fairy marrow and walk on the spirit ladder. The Karma Tibetan forest suffers. The Tibetan forest does everything for her to survive. But what have you done? Tan Tai-jin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his fingers, curled his lips coldly, and said nothing. Zhao Yu knew at a glance that the young man knew nothing wrong. I went to think about the cliff. Tan Tai-jin stayed in Saigyoya for 3 months, during which the 3 seniors took turns to visit him. Zhang Heidao, little junior brother, what you did makes Master angry. I have been with Master for 800 years, and I haven't seen him make such a big fire. Nothing. Thinking about the coldness of the cliff, brother tomorrow will bring you a body protection vest. Thank you brother. He didn't want to say, and Shanghai didn't ask too much. The cold air that thought about the cliff burrowed into the body. Even if it was a fairy body, it would be uncomfortable to stay in it for a long time. Zhao Yu came here once and asked him, do you know what's wrong? Tan Tai-jin opened his eyes, his lips were blue with cold. He nodded and said in a low voice, the disciple knows what's wrong. Zhao Yu looked at the boy's dark eyes and sighed, if you know your mistake, go back. Tan Tai-jin stood up, a sneer flashed across his face. Tan Tai-jin was in the 2nd year of Xiaoyou sect, and his whole body was covered with poisonous thorns. The senior brothers of the Tibetan generation treated him very well, and after a long time Tan Tai-jin put on a gentle and shy mask in Xiaoyou sect. The people of Xiaoyou sect are innocent, or stupid, but this kind of temper makes Xiaoyou Zong's senior brothers and sisters saddled for him. Among the disciples was Shaoji, who was born in Penglai Fairy Island. His father was a disciple of Penglai. Shaoji had a small position in Xiaoyou sect. Shaoji was in the same generation as Shanghai. Shaoji is so strong. Zongmen always takes the resources first when they have resources. The good tasks of the Zongmen are always first. Shanghai has a good temper, advocating kindness, and never cares about Shaoji. Several of the younger brothers were all following the Tibetan Sea, and they usually saw Shaoji respectfully call senior brother Shao. Shaoji didn't appreciate it. When he returned from experience, Tan Tai-jin was already in the late stage of foundation building and was about to form a pill. There are rumors in the school that Zhao Yu intends to let the young disciples inherit the mantle, so he cultivates them carefully. Shaoji looked at Tan Tai-jin with a smile and said, this is junior brother Ju Min. I heard that you are living in a house before the Tibetan wind. I have suffered some injuries after returning from this experience. I wonder if junior brother Ju Min can replace him. Brother, pick some herbs to send. Most of the disciples of Xiaoyou sect are of wood attributes, so planting medicinal materials is leisurely, and it is also the tradition of Xiaoyou's self-cultivation and self-cultivation. Even if Tan Tai-jin came, it was no exception. For the past 2 years, he and Shanghai and others have been able to get up and give rain every hour. Shaoji never did this. In Shao Ji's eyes, the other disciples were unpromising farmers, who made the martial art shameless. He instructed Tan Tai-jin, as before, instructed the Tibetan tree to hide the wind. Tan Tai-jin's black eyes stared at him for a while, then smiled and said, okay, send it to the senior at night. Shaoji turned around, and when he met his mountain, his eyes were gloomy. It is well known that the old head of Xiaoyou Zong is about to become the old head, and the most likely new heads are Shanghai and Shaoji. The Tibetan Sea is kind and generous, in line with the Taoist mind of Xiaoyou school as always, but the cultivation level is really not enough, and the cultivation is also very lazy. Shao Ji's cultivation is good, but he is eager to win, and will not be considered for the sect. This time, Elder Zhao Yu closed his disciple Tan Tai-jin and cultivated him personally, which aroused Shao Ji's sense of crisis. Shaoji is not afraid to compete with that fat and stupid Tibetan Sea, but if it is a young genius. When Tan Tai-jin came to deliver medicinal herbs in the evening, Shaoji took it and took out a few soul-inducing grasses from Qiankan's bag. I heard from the same school that junior brother Ju Min has been looking for these herbs and hopes to help you. Tan Tai-jin raised his eyebrows, unexpectedly. He took it, guessing in his heart what this person would make. "Thank you, brother." There was a shallow fragrance on the yinhun grass, and it was impossible to smell it if you didn't smell it carefully. Tan Tai-jin's fingers tightened, and the smile on his face grew thicker. "If the senior brother doesn't order, Jimin will say goodbye." "Go ahead." When Tan Tai-jin left, Xiaoji threw out the herbs he had brought, took a sip, and smiled. "Fight with me." Tan Tai-jin twirled the colorless powder on the sole grass with his fingers, and the corners of his lips raised. "Dispersion." I don't know where Xiaoji got this kind of stuff, or how many people he used to deal with. Sangong scattered into the bones quietly. No matter how hard the cultivation base is, it is impossible to find out the reason. Maybe Zanhai and others weren't so useless in the beginning. Tan Tai-jin's pale fingers pulled out a few leaves, turned a few times on the soul-inducing grass, cast a spell, and put it into his own universe bag. It doesn't matter, as long as it is yinhun grass. He also wants to disperse the power. At the end of the spring, Xiaoyao sect had another accident. Xiaoji, the highest disciple in the sect, was interrupted, his eyes were cut out, his tongue was cut, and he was thrown under the gate of Xiaoyao Zongshan. Xiaoji looked shocked. Even the law enforcement elder couldn't help turning his head, frowning. Who can be so gloomy? The matter was serious. Xiaoyao sect opened 3 trials to try to find the murderer, but found nothing. Xiaoji concealed a devilish energy in his body, and several elders looked at each other, and they had no choice but to conclude that it was the result of a sneak attack by the devil. Several people from Zanhai followed behind Jiaoyao Xianzhen and talked. "Senior brother Xiao was hurt too badly. Can I continue to practice in the future? It's a pity, he has such a high level of cultivation, and he is useless." Uncle Jiaqing looks so sad. Zhao Yu stopped and suddenly said, "Jimin, follow me as a teacher." Tan Tai-jin stepped forward and raised his hand to salute. "Master." Zhao Yu closed his eyes and said, "I went to think about the cliff to receive the punishment." Tan Tai-jin glanced at him coldly. The disciple takes the command. Several people were very surprised, and repeatedly pleaded for Tan Tai-jin. "Master, what did the younger brother do? He is not in good health and can't always think about the cliff, or I will go." "Master, I can also go for the little brother." "No, I will go by myself." Tan Tai-jin Yuyan went to think about the cliff. At that time, he didn't know Zhao Yu's intentions, but felt that this old man was unreasonable. In midsummer, the good-tempered Zhao Yu never let him out. Tan Tai-jin walked out of the thinking cliff and went outside the door of the old man. Zhao Yu was not there. He felt a strange aura. After hesitating for a moment, he entered the secret room where Zhao Yu practiced. At first, Tan Tai-jin thought that no matter it was a fairy or a demon, there was always a bit of distraction to hide and not want to be seen. Until he saw the forbidden law in the Jiaoya secret chamber. Tan Tai-jin secretly looked for it when he disobeyed his control in the first year. It's an array of shifting cause and effect. The formation method uses yellow symbols to write the birthdays and years of the 2 people. Tan Tai-jin realized something and picked up the 2 charms. One is written Naishui, and the other is Xiaoji, which is still bright and bright. He was silent for a long time that day, and returned to Siguya, letting the waterfall fall on his body. He thought of the gray-haired old man stroking his beard and asking him, "Do you know who is most concerned about being the 5 disciples of the teacher?" Tan Tai-jin didn't know, and Jiaoya didn't say much. "I thought it was the Tibetan forest that fell into the mortal dust. Today, Tan Tai-jin knows it. From start to finish, it's me." Zhao Yu did not object to his revenge on Naishui and Xiaoji, but deplored his cruelty and the helpless little disciples' cause and effect. Zhao Yu picked up the worst boy in the world. That young man was born evil, knows no mercy, has harsh methods, and never knows repentance. Zhao Yu took the trouble to take him to appreciate the love of the world, patiently teach him good and evil, take this bad boy to read children's enlightenment books, and when he still has not lost his cruel heart, he will bear all the cause and effect for him. Many years later, Tan Tai-jin pierced the old man's heart with the Tushan crossbow in Showa Castle. Zhao Yu closed his eyes, and his soul slowly dissipated. The blood of the white-clothed young man leaned against the tree, lifted up the old man, and brushed Zhao Yu's unclosed eyes with his hand. A drop of clear tears suddenly fell on Zhao Yu's face. "Master." The fire ignited and burned the body of the old man. Tan Tai Jin raised his eyes and saw countless faces that hated him, but no one saw the evaporating tears in his eyes. Xiaoyao Zong * soldiers and GER facing each other. Before going to crusade against Tan Tai Jin, a whole group of disciples stood in front of the mountain gate. Zhang Hai tried to keep his voice from choking. The evil devil is wrong, the thief of the 6 realms, everyone is punishable. He rebelled against the teacher, apostasy. Today the Tibetan Sea swears, the journey of the demon realm is not Kang Juman's death, or the death of the Tibetan Sea. Before he finished speaking, Zhang Shu's eyes were red. Zhang Feng said, "Are we really going to kill junior brother?" Someone pushed him. "Zhang Feng, you are a little more sober, is that still your junior brother? He has never been a Kang Juman, but an evil demon, the demon lord of the demon world. Have you forgotten how your master died?" The Tibetan wind opened his mouth, like a knuckle in his throat, unable to say anything. He had a lot to say, but when he turned his head he saw senior brother Zhang Hai drew out the sword, his hand shaking slightly. That was their little brother. They watched him being picked up by the master. Zhang Feng remembered that it was the autumn of the world, and the boy was bloody. They watched him slowly grow up, carefully unfolding clothes for him, and decocting medicine for him. They taught him to practice magic skills, and they walked with him in front of the sun-rising mountain gate, and took him to the world for a drink. They watched Tan Tai Jin from the initial cold appearance, then smiled and called them senior brother. Zhang Hai turned his head and looked at the dilapidated world behind him. His teeth trembled slightly. Over the years, the Tibetan forest has disappeared, and the master has died. Now it is not the death of the junior brother, or they have died. The setting sun was like blood, when Tan Tai Jin's heaven-slashing sword pierced their chests. The pupils of Zhang Hai slowly dissipated, and the demon in front of him seemed to retreat back to the boy in Xuanyi who was sitting on the ridge of Xiaoyao Zong's field and blowing leaves. At that time, the sun was good, and the wind was also free. Even though Hidden Sea knew early in the morning, the boy's sound killer went through the jungle, terribly starting a nest of rabbits and fleeing. But there are a lot of brothers, what a wonderful year. Zhang Hai smiled and closed his eyes. Xiaoyao Zong * last. The Tibetan Sea, the Tibetan tree, and the Tibetan wind did not expect that they would be able to wake up one day. It took a long time before they knew the truth. It turns out that Zhao Yu broke into the 9-ranked profound return formation and forcibly regained the divine orbs, and was already gathering together. In order to create puppets, Shi Ying wanted to turn Zhao Yu into a zombie after death for her use. Zhao Yu was born upright and upright. For him, after his death, his body became a demon, killing innocent mortals and his own disciples, which was more uncomfortable than being scattered, so he let his little disciple Tan Tai Jin kill him and burned his body. He left this world innocently. Xiaoyao Zong Baiyan has a long time, and this year another group of disciples have been recruited. The herbal medicine under the mountain gate is Yu Qingqing, and there are disciples coming in. Head, someone is looking for you. Zhang Hai hurriedly hid his own wine gourd, wiped away the tears from the corner of his eyes, and yelled, "What a decent way you are," in a panic. The disciple smiled and said, "Head, you are drinking secretly again. If Master Kangshu knows, hey, no, brat, dare to talk nonsense and see if I don't clean up you." The Tibetan wind walked in and shook his head and said, "Big brother, I have been the head for so many years, why I still haven't made any progress." Zhang Hai ignored him and asked the little disciple, "You said someone is looking, who is looking for?" "The head comes with me. The ball of the Xiaoyao sect is fruitful and peaceful, and the stone tablet under the mountain gate is carved with fish patterns." Zhang Hai was dressed in Qingjai, walked to the mountain gate with his disciple, and saw him at a glance. The disciple said, "Hey, it's them." In front of the green mountains and green waters, beside the Xuanyi man stood a white-clothed woman, and there was also a small pink dumpling who looked at Xiaoyao sect with strange spirits. Tan Tai Jin raised his eyes, his eyebrows were the same as those of a young man. He put his hands together, bowed down and went, "Kang Juman, pay homage to brother." The Tibetan Sea suddenly wet his eyes. The mountains are high and the rivers are long and quiet for thousands of years. Chapter 135, Fan Wai 4 times Xiao Rin Yi Zaivu. Fan Y * Xiao Rin and Yi Zaivu. His Royal Highness, Miss Yi-san is waiting for you outside again, the dark guard whispered in his ear. Xiao Lin looked up, a summer rain outside the window came quickly and urgently, and the girl in red stood under the eaves, berating the maid beside her. The maidservant looked aggrieved and squatted down to adjust the skirt to the girl. The young girl has bright eyes and an unbelievable arrogance. Xiao Rin looked at it for a while, then calmly said, "Let's go." He took his subordinates to make a detour, and did not go through the gate of the Department of Justice. The guard held an umbrella, and the long and jade His Royal Highness got into the carriage. No one took care of the girl who was still waiting for him at the door of the Department of Surgery. Xiao Ling closed his eyes to rest, his expression calm. He has no preference for any woman in the world, and naturally he has no prejudice. He alone disliked Yi Zaivu. The third girl from Yi Xiao's family was headstrong and vicious. He had seen Yi Zaivu cut his sister's clothes like anger. The weak woman on the other side looked sad, but did not dare to stop her. The girls of other people's families value the reputation of their boudoirs more than anything else. Only she doesn't care. Her Royal Highness looks good with one mouthful. Your Royal Highness is the best in the world. I just want to marry you. You are a woman, you shouldn't say this. She smiled with thin white teeth, and shook her head. Why shouldn't you? Like is like, hate is hate. Why men have the right to express, women can't. You are so speechless, you will regret it in the future. She confidently said, I will regret it if I don't say it. When Xiao Lin was investigating the food and payment case outside the palace, he could see her as soon as he turned his head. It's just that she is really irritable, either provoking or scolding someone. Over time, he disliked her even more. The carriage ran across the street and walked into the palace gate. The queen and the 9 princesses were drinking tea. When they saw him, they waved at him affectionately. Rinner, come here. The 9 princesses chuckled, and their eyes rolled. Brother Emperor has returned to the palace. I'm afraid some people will have to wait in Shinxing Saikong. Xiao Rin glanced at her, frowned and said, You told her that I was in the Department of Sentences. The 9 princesses made a grimace. I bet with them, Yi Zaivu has never been shameless, but he hurried away eagerly after he got the news. The queen sighed and said to Xiao Rin, Miss Yi-san liked you a long time ago. Rinner, you know in your heart that General Yi has the military power in your hands. Marrying Miss Yi-san is the best choice. Xiao Lin said coldly, impossible. Rinner has a sweetheart. Nothing. Xiao Rin fiddled with the incense burner, lowered his eyes and said, anyway, it won't be Yi-san. Xiao Lin didn't value the throne in his heart. He was born with honors and favors, and his loves and evils were extremely fragmented. To him, it didn't matter who was the emperor. As long as the Xia country was prosperous, the people lived and worked in peace and contentment. The benefit that Yi Zaivu can bring is not enough to shake him. On the second day, Yi Zaivu became ill. She was waiting for Xiao Rin at the Shinxing department. The entourage of the 9 princesses pretended to be Xiao Rin's entourage and tricked her into saying that His Royal Highness 6 was still in there to deal with official affairs. Yi Zaivu waited until dark, but still failed. Wait until Xiao Rin. After Xiao Lin found out, he accused the 9 princesses of mischief. The 9 princesses curled their lips in disdain. Since Yi Zaivu and Jiao have deep-rooted love for Xiao Rin, he has made a lot of jokes. The 9 princesses hated Yi Zaivu very much, the daughter of a courtier, and her status was too noble. Even if she was the most favored princess, she had to endure 3 points because of Yi Zaivu's father's military power. The 9 princesses often used Xiao Rin's name to tune Yi Zaivu, but the tiger's poisonous girl always puts on it. Xiao Lin felt overwhelmed and stepped into the general's mansion to make amends for the 9 princesses. The sick girl heard that he was coming, and there was joy in her eyebrows, and she hurriedly asked someone to dress her up. Hearing that Xiao Lin apologized to her behind the screen and left, Yi Zaivu stopped dressing in a hurry and rushed. Come out and stop him, Xiao Rin, wait a minute. She was ill and did not apply powder, and Xiao Lin saw a clean and green face. That's why she was bold and always called his name privately. Yi Zaivu's small face was thin, his eyes were round, and there was a cat-like wet smooth luster in his eyes, looking at him intently. Wait a minute, I have something for you. She raised her hand, expecting to smile and said, here. Xiao Rin lowered his eyes. It was a navy blue sachet, embroidered with a few tall bamboos, the bamboo leaves are vivid. A few days ago, Your Highness's birthday, Dad said that His Highness did not manage it. I have prepared a gift for you, but I have never had a chance to send it out. Xiaolin was silent. His birthday, it wasn't that he was out of control, just that he didn't invite Miss Yi family San. General Yi and Madame Yi told a white lie in order to coax their daughter. Looking at the eyes of the girl in front of him, Xiaolin said, the sachet is a private property, so let's give it to the future husband. Won't you marry me? He heard the girl shout, why don't you marry me? You know, marrying me is equivalent to having military power. Even so, wouldn't it work? Xiaolin said with a cold face, no. She walked around in front of him, gritted her teeth and said arrogantly, you can't do it if you say no. You wait for Xiaolin. I will go to ask the emperor to marry me tomorrow. Xiaolin was also annoyed. Dare you? Look, I dare not. The girl grinned, like a sick little lion trying to raise its paws. Xiaolin raised his hand, squeezed the vase in the house with his breath, and said coldly, if you don't mind the vase after the wedding, you can try it. The maids screamed in fright. Yi Zivu stared blankly at the broken tiles. You just hate me so much. Very annoying, Miss Yi-san. It's important for a person to have self-knowledge. When he walked out the door, Yi Zivu threw the sachet on the ground and stomped on his feet severely. You hate it. You hate it. Whoever is rare. Who is rare? No one of the maids dared to pull her. Naturally no one dared to beat her red eyes. Xiaolin didn't look back. That year, even he himself thought that he would hate this person forever. Xiaolin had an accident when he was fighting the bandits in the winter. He went deep into the bandit den, only to find that there were troops deployed in a small country nearby, and the people around him betrayed him. Everything was a conspiracy of the second prince. In order to get rid of the chase, Xiaolin fell off the cliff. The wind was blowing under the cliff, and behind another stone, 3 women shivering with cold appeared. The headed girl ran to the edge of the cliff anxiously and knelt down and looked down. His Royal Highness, Xiaolin. Miss San. Zixi and Chundao were anxious and wanted to drag her. Miss San, there is danger there. The third girl in their family said that she no longer cared about His Highness 6, but couldn't help staying on the way to the incense with her grandmother. She quietly ran to find Xiaolin, but she didn't expect to encounter this scene. Yi Zivu's eyes were red, and he glanced at the vines hanging next to him, and suddenly said, I'll go down and find him. Miss San, don't. Slave servants and Zixi will return to the imperial city to call for people. When you come back and forth, 3 days have passed. If Xiaolin is injured and there is no one to help him lying under the cliff, he will not even have food, and it will not last 3 days at all. There are many trees here. He still has internal strength and must have a chance to survive. Yi Zivu bundled the vines around her waist and did not hesitate to explore under the cliff. Miss 3. Yi Zivu didn't listen. Her embroidered shoes were slipping on the rock. With tears in her tears, she held back her fear and walked down a little bit. She didn't know that she was so afraid of death. Where could she find the perseverance to find someone who didn't like her at all? It's fine if you don't like her, not even her father's military power. Xiaolin, an eyeless bastard, deserves it. She scolded him for what he deserved, but she was still determined to find someone under the cliff. Gradually, she couldn't hear the voices of the 2 maids, and her delicate fingers were also worn out. Yi Zivu didn't know how far she went down. Follow the broken branches to find where he fell. In the end, even the length of the vines was not enough. She was shivering with cold. Xiaolin, Xiaolin. Finally, when she slipped, Yi Zivu screamed and lost consciousness. In midair, a dense crowd of blood crows flew up, dragged her body, and led her to fall into the cliff with her. Someone seemed to be saying softly, you can't die, you are dead, how can I get out of the summer palace? Yi Zivu didn't die, but suffered enough under the cliff. When she woke up, it was snowing in the sky. She curled up in the cave and found a corner of Xiaolin's clothes to wrap up inside. The dull joy came to my heart. It's great, I know, you will be fine. But at that time she didn't know what kind of powerful enemy she was against. She is a mortal, in their eyes, she is just a clown. The mist between her and Xiaolin was inevitable, and it was another person's revenge against her. After a long time, Yi Zivu recovered from his wounds and saw the beautiful woman nestling next to Xiaolin. Xiao Rin fastened her cloak and whispered something. The woman lowered her eyes, with a gentle little meaning in her eyes, with deep affection in her eyes. Yi Zaivu looked at him and Yi Bingshang. The whole person couldn't take a step again. Xiao Rin had never seen her like that before, and from that moment, she knew she had lost, thoroughly. In her life, it would be impossible for her to get Xiao Lin's love. But you can. Li Sizu, I want you to get his love. When he loves you, he loves me. There are few chances in a person's life. When he surrendered his body, Jutian Guayu patted her. Thank you, gasped. Yi Zaivu just laughed. How can there be such good things in this world that can get someone else's body? Guayu once made a divine oath to her former master, Chu Huang, and could not tell Susu her true identity and protect her from growing up. The goddess Chu Huang's daughter, who was born and died, has collected 10,000 years of remnant souls, but there is still one wicked soul missing. This wicked soul was missed in the world 500 years ago and was reborn as Yi Zaivu, the daughter of the general's family. She is perverse, cruel, and paranoid. Guai takes Suzu through time and space, hiding many unspeakable secrets in his heart. For example, help Suzu's soul to be complete and God to regenerate. Yi Zaivu turned into a ghast, full of Susu's 7 emotions and 6 desires, and returned to Susu's body, but Susu thought that from beginning to end, it was an exchange in Guayu's mouth. She helped Zaivu protect her father and grandmother, and Zaivu lent her body. Susu didn't know that this was the body that was born from her missing soul. Therefore, she will have feelings for her grandmother, fearing the deep darkness, wanting to save the Yumi from the past, and obsessing with seeing the eternal flowers bloom. Yi Zaivu was originally a part of her. Yi Zaivu didn't make this request. She thought badly and stubbornly, Xiao Rin, I'm afraid you still don't know how good a complete goddess is. It's so good that even if you are controlled by Yi Bingchang at the moment, you hate me very much. One day, you will be unable to restrain yourself from liking the goddess Li Sizu, and thus fall in love with my ghast. However, Li Sizu doesn't like you, and the ghast dissipated in the world pursues you persistently. You say, satire? Fortunately, you should be thankful that Yi-san will never haunt you again in this life. Chapter 136, Fan Wai 5, Early Phoenix and Dimian. Chu Huang and Dimian. In ancient times, before the battle between gods and demons had begun, everything was peaceful and quiet. The Phoenix tribe lives in the southern parasol tree ***** realm. A true phoenix divine blood, with flowers on the eyebrows, and clear eyes. When Chu Huang's mother combed her hair, she told her, in a few years, when the little prince of the Qilin god clan reaches adulthood, Huanga will have to go to the Qilin god clan for marriage. Chu Huang didn't want to marry. She didn't like the unicorn tribe with simple minds and well-developed limbs. The Qilin family is arrogant and rude. In addition, the little prince Chu Huang of the Qilin family has seen her. She is already a slim girl. The little prince's unicorn is like a little milk dog. For a period of time, she had a psychological shadow on the little boy on all fours. It was hard for Chu Huang to imagine how she would live after marrying that milk doll. Chu Huang refused this marriage many times, but was rebutted by the Phoenix tribe. In Chu Huang's heart, the life of the Phoenix tribe was like a pool of stagnant water. Each generation of Emperor Ji continued his bloodline with conscientiousness, like a person without feelings. Chu Huang didn't understand, is God's life so rigid? Is it really interesting? The Phoenix tribe lives in an escape from the world, and there is an enchantment at the monument boundary, and the tribe is not allowed to go out. When Chu Huang met Mian, he fell at the boundary of the stle of the Phoenix sacred mirror. The man's eyebrows are sharp and handsome. What she saw at first glance was not his appearance, but secretly joyfully said, "Great, now there is a way to get out." Chu Huang's hands were imprinted, and the condensed rope dragged the person in. The process was difficult, and the handsome face of the man rubbed repeatedly on the ground. Don't blame, I also have to be in love." With the handsome face of the man facing downwards, the blue veins on her forehead jumped fiercely where she could not see. Looking closer, Chu Huang realized that he was also a ***** race, but very thin. It is rare for a protist to see such a thin child, with will marks all over his body and a terrible palm print on his chest. Taking advantage of his bloodletting mind is shallow, She frowned and looked at it for a long time, then sighed, "It's so miserable, forget it, I'm unlucky, I owe you." He was hurt so badly that his breath almost disappeared completely. Chu Huang took care of him for a year, and for a long time she almost regarded him as a pot of flowers that she raised, and this pot of flowers might never bloom. Finally, in the early morning, the man woke up. Chu Huang walked in as usual, and unexpectedly saw a pair of eyes looking at him. It is completely different from his appearance and temperament. The man has a pair of beautiful peach eyes. The corners of his eyes are slightly hooked, with a touch of sentimental charm. He leaned against the collapse, curled his lips and smiled. His slightly muffled voice was very seductive. "I recognize you, you saved me." That was their first sight. He was not like a god, like a male vixen. Many years later, Chu Huan remembered that smile, and still remembered his absence. What does she like? She likes the unrestrainedness and freedom in this world, and loves the three-pointed sentimental, three-pointed joke and four-pointed indifference in his brows and eyes. How can someone grow up to her preferences, so it's just right? Therefore, the bold, bright and rebellious Dig held his face and said, "Hey, how about being my male favorite?" He listened and smiled with a low eye. "Okay, my name is Mian." Mian did not grow like this at first. He was born in the land of ancient monsters, and he did not know how many ancient monsters he swallowed, and he eventually became a monster king. Most ancient demon bodies were ugly, just like Shaying. The ancient Shaying had no hair, a raised scalp, white and dry lips, and fangs. At first, Mian was a mess of mud. His appearance was ugly and ferocious, and it was frightening to hear. All the people who followed the demon god wanted to do a big job, and Mian was naturally not surprised. The living environment of demons is not good. Even the ancient demons are not enshrined by mortals. Where droughts occur, there will be droughts in the world, and there will be no grass, and where there will be torrential rains and earth movement. After killing many ancient gods and forcing them to shed tears of soul-killing beads, Mian received another task. The demon said, "We need a new way of heaven, and the opportunities that can be opened are far from enough. I want you to go deep into the Phoenix clan and take the Akaban divine fire." Mian's voice is gloomy. How to get it? The opportunity lies in Chu Huang, the only emperor of the Phoenix god clan. The devil does not understand love, and regards love as a dispensable, and uses human tools. At that time, Mian didn't understand love either. He wanted supreme power and belonged to the world of demons, so he agreed. The Phoenix Protoss is notoriously isolated from the world, and it is extremely difficult to enter. According to the information collected by his subordinates, he used 200 years to melt his voice to change his own voice, and another 800 years to temper his body, fade away the hideous and terrifying monster body, and become another handsome and passionate appearance, drawing the ancients. The essence of another god, used to hide his breath. Mian suppressed his own cultivation level and deliberately inflicted serious injuries on himself. As he expected, he successfully entered the Wutong god realm. No one in the world knows that he was born to suit Chu Huang's preferences, so she likes him. Mian is not surprised, but he never expected that this emperor was so courageous that he wanted him to be a male favorite. It's just a male favorite with no status. Mian smiled, her fist hardened. The peach-faced little girl in front of me probably doesn't know that he has a seniority enough to be her Laozi. If the Phoenix clan knew that a demon king of his level had come in, I am afraid that the old Phoenix would have to erect a beautiful feather and explode hair. But this little Phoenix is really not afraid of death. She let Mian wear a peach-colored shirt, lay on his lap by herself, and let him play the tune to her. Dig Kai with a pair of naked jade feet, with bells tied on his feet. The jade feet are tender and cute. Mian looked at him for a few times, then retracted his gaze. He stroked her hair and asked badly, "Dig will marry the little Prince Chilin in the future, so I'm not afraid of being punished if I'm in trouble with me like this." Chu Huan nodded, "I'm afraid, but I don't want to be a caged bird for the rest of my life rather than being punished. I am not suitable for the little prince. The little prince thinks that I am not a good woman. It's not bad for me to get out." She rested her arm comfortably and looked at the sycamore forest above. God's blood continuity is really so important. To tie people together regardless of their wishes. Mian is just a low-level Protoss, and I dare not dismiss the views of Emperor Ji. Mian smiled. She rolled her eyes, sat up with a smile, and squeezed his chin. Little male pet, that's okay, you really know yourself. He smiled stiffly for a second, gritted his teeth and said, Dig said so. Mian often wanted to strangle her to death. She teased him, little Protus, can you cook mortal cakes? You go make one for Bendigi to taste. No. If you don't know how to do it, learn how to be a favorite of men. Little Protus, sing a song, babble like that. No. I will turn you into a mirror with a water mirror, and you will learn from it and come over. Mian felt that one day he would fail the mission. The reason for the failure was to choke the Phoenix Emperor Ji to death. He had to wash her clothes, wash her feet, and tell her stories by the way. When he gritted his teeth to learn to sing, the night that the opposite Dig laughed 100 times, he finally became her male favorite and slept with her for one night. Mianyang exasperated, wishing to kill her in this regard. She just looked at him with a smile, touched his ears, and whispered in his ears, Little Protus, what do you want to do when you come to my side? Do you want Phoenix's blood? The painstaking effort of the Phoenix body can wash the marrow of the lower Protus and transform it into a talented higher Protus. Unfortunately, the Phoenix, who has lost the painstaking effort, will no longer be diligent in his cultivation. Mian was startled. Peach Blossom narrowed her eyes and smiled. If I want, will Digi give it? Chu Huang held his chin, turned his head to look at him, and said, Hey, I'll give you the blood of my heart, and I won't be the Phoenix Emperor. We will get a beating together at that time, but you can rest assured, since it is me, it's a burden to you. You are a little male favorite, Ben Digi will protect you. I will carry it for you. It's just that you may be driven out of the Phoenix clan, and you will be two ordinary gods, without being blessed by the clan, and being able to go anywhere in the 6 realms freely. Would you like to? Mian was stunned for a moment. For a moment, he was bewildered by the clean and pious eyes before him, thinking that he was really a little Protus who wanted her blood. He was in a complicated mood and nodded and said, Okay. Chu Huang's eyes lit up, and her eyebrows curled up. That one look is for sure. When my mother's birthday is over, I will give you the blood of God. Let's walk together to see the mountains and rivers in your story. It's a pity that Mian knew that little Digi couldn't wait for this day. Whoever wants to be with her forever, the feelings of demons have always been cold. It's just a scene. On the day of Chu Huang's mother's birthday, the Dongchuan incident happened and Mian was taken away and put to death in secret. The Phoenix tribe naturally does not allow a little asterisk like him to defile the princess. In the eyes of the Phoenix tribe, the marriage of the Qilin tribe is very important. If Mian is killed, Chu Huang will be willing to marry the little Prince Huanqi. When the first Phoenix arrived, Mian had only one last breath, and she was about to disperse her soul. Before that, Mian had never felt that Chu Huang had such a strong affection for herself. She always called him like a stubborn little male favorite and a little Protus, and she rarely even called him a Mian. But that day, hot tears fell on his face. Sorry, I killed you. Don't be afraid, Mian, I will definitely save you. A very light and gentle kiss fell on her forehead, and Phoenix's blood flowed from the tip of her heart to his heart. A long time ago, Mian heard that when the gods get married, they will exchange each other's efforts, just a drop, expressing love and mutual understanding. He didn't know how much effort she gave him, and almost killed her half-life. He wondered blankly, what is this the first Phoenix who gave him so much Phoenix blood? Isn't the relationship between the two of them like a child's play? Even if it is guilty, she shouldn't do it. Don't be afraid, when you wake up, let's leave together. Chu Huang still remembered the appointment that night. But if you want to awaken Mian, you need the Qiyu Divine Fire. Qiyu Divine Fire has always guarded the Phoenix family. With it, the parasol tree is endless, and the Phoenix family will have a home. Chu Huang said, I will take you over and let Xinhyo wake you up. She naturally didn't dare to touch the foundation of her clan, but now accepting so much effort from her, she can be regarded as a member of the Phoenix clan, and Xinhyo is naturally his foundation. She took her crown on her back and placed him under the poinciana tree, with the sacred fire wafting above. Chu Huangjian drew divine fire to save people, but she didn't know that the Hura she had been raising for several years was a thief. That day, the sacred fire went out, and the poinciana tree fell instantly. The man who loves to laugh and love, cooks for her, sings and tells stories to her, holds a kaban divine fire, and looks at her coldly in the air. Emian? She was pale. My name, Diimian. He curled his lips. Thank you Diji Shinhyo. Chu Huangfang knew that what a heartbeat was just a meticulous layout by others. He acted so well that he finally acted like her sweetheart. The plane tree began to wither, and the boundary of the tablet collapsed. When Emperor Mian smashed out of the Phoenix tribe, he held the Phoenix tribe's neck, hesitated for a long time, frowned coldly, and threw them away. Dimian didn't know how much punishment Chu Huang had to bear for this. She was imprisoned in the Phoenix clan's prison, where she practiced her body with 32 injections of weak water, torturing her soul for life. Until the newly grown-up Huanqi carefully picked her up from the dungeon. Huanqi faded her milky appearance, and she looked very beautiful. I marry Chu Huang, and I bless the Phoenix clan. He said, don't hurt her. Chu Huang looked at his blue clothes and an anxious face. For the first time, she knew that she was wrong. She gave up pearls and fell in love with fish eyes. But Huanqi should meet better people, and she shouldn't let Huanqi take care of her mistakes. She went to the demon realm alone, designing to bring back the fire. When leaving the demon realm, he was discovered. The demon ***** looked at her with interest. You are the Phoenix Emperor Ji. Why, Emperor Mian, I heard that she used to torture you hard enough. Do you want to do it yourself? A person walked out of darkness, with the mark of the Demon King on his brows, and looked at Chu Huang with a pale face. Let's do it. The demon god squinted his eyes. Dimian was silent for a moment, and raised his palm to hit Chu Huang. She vomited a large mouthful of blood, and at the last minute, struggling to send the divine fire out, the palm of her eyebrow pierced the Emperor Crown's shoulder, and Chu Huang curled her lips and smiled. How? I have a lot of grudges. With my clan stuff, I really thought it could be all over my body. And retreat? You wait for the demon, wanting magic fire, wishful thinking. Guayu ran away carrying the sacred fire, tearing time and space in a flash, disappearing. The devil looked cold. You. The Emperor Mian on the side suddenly shot, breaking up the first Phoenix soul. The demon god frowned, seeing that she was out of breath, and he couldn't say anything. The crowd dispersed, and after a long time, Emperor Mian walked over and held her with shaking hands. He pulled out the emir stabbing with karma on his shoulders, holding her, and walked out of the demon realm. He saved her with the hidden phoenix heart and blood, traveled through the 6 realms, and watched her rebirth from the ashes. Before she woke up, it was also the eve of the battle between gods and demons. Dimian could only watch Huanqi take her away. Demon feelings are cold, and Emperor Mian also thought that at first. He thought that in those years, when he closed his eyes and watched Chu Huang's unhindered work for him, it was a joke to meticulously heal his injuries. He thought he was patiently wearing peach-colored clothes, holding her to tell her stories, just to get Akaban's sacred fire. He thought that the night moon was blurred, and when the magnanimous Dig described the future for him, his rapid heartbeat was not a heartbeat. But he forgot, from the beginning, he was born for her liking. When he was still transformed into an ugly monster, he knew Diji's slender waist and what size. He knew the color she liked, and the tone she liked. It took Dimian 1,000 years to experience the pain of tempering to become what she likes. Later in the year after he missed her, he remembered countless times that he pretended to wake up and saw those bright eyes. His heart beat again, and the deer bumped randomly. Chu Huang never knew how many years he had waited for this first encounter. Chapter 137, Fanwai 6, Xiao Susu and Demon God. Childhood Sisu and Demon God Tan Tai Jin. He remembered how he died. His life as a mortal was very short. He died at the age of 22 and defeated Lian Yu. Xiao Linbing approached the city. He didn't want to be that man's prisoner of war and jumped into the fire. It's not about spine, but whenever there is a glimmer of hope, Tan Tai Jin will not choose to die. He knew that he couldn't live anymore. Instead of letting Xiao Lin do it, he had better make his own choice, at least with dignity. Although dignity is in his eyes, it is nothing. Recollecting this life is not easy. He was born and lost his mother, and lived in the court at a young age. Finally he returned to Ju and seized power from his father and brother, but lost to the true love of heaven, Xiao Rin. Tan Tai-jin was lying in the fire and saw the people Shan who long live, the weak and bright woman, holding Xiao Lin's hand, standing beside Xiao Lin. In a daze, Tan Tai-jin remembered that she was called Yu Bingshang, Xiao Lin's wife. When I wanted to get everything about Xiao Lin, I also wanted to get Yu Bingshang, but when he really lost everything, he didn't feel much regret. He couldn't bear the pain, curled up, his eyes were resentful, and his heart was unwilling. His power was lost, but he didn't have much obsession with Yu Bingshang. To gain, only to defeat Xiao Lin, and to lose, it seems that it would not be so persistent. After imitating others for a lifetime, the young man will inevitably feel a little at a loss at the end of his life. When the tongue of fire licked his body, he was thinking, he learned the love and hatred of others, but when it came to his head, did he really like the woman named Yu Bingshang? The answer is unknown. A fire in the world burned his body. No one remembers the last little prince of the Tantai clan in history. Han Yang picked him back, the evil bone was reborn, and the demon came to the world since then. It took a long time for Tan Tai-jin to realize that the devil in the world was destined to be born alone. With a poisoned heart, he walked into the magical way. How many people had been killed, he didn't remember. When the Tushan crossbow was pulled apart, the fragile immortals fell one by one in front of him, and he piled up a tomb of 10,000 immortals with great interest. The man in Xuanyi sat high above the tomb of 10,000 immortals, deeply smelling the blood in the air, fascinated by the breath. The immortals who used to be aloof are no more than weak ants under his palm. The blood flowed through his fingertips, so warm. In the 430th year after he got rid of his identity as a mortal, he saw Xiao Rin's reincarnation. When Gongai Jianwu was still breathing, Tan Tai-jin poked him with his sword hilt. Tell me, the one you used to like. People, what happened afterwards? He forgot Yu Bingshang's name and her appearance. I just remember the love I haven't learned when I was a mortal boy. Gongai Jian didn't say anything, and his soul disappeared. Tan Tai-jin looked at him blankly for a while, then retracted the heaven-slashing sword. Throwing his body into the tomb of 10,000 immortals, threw it in like a shame. Day after day, the monks have no room to live, and can only survive underground like a mouse in a gutter. Gradually, the blood could no longer arouse his interest. Tan Tai-jin didn't even have any interest in catching those grey mice, and would rather lie in the demon realm to sleep. Drought and Jingsh were worried about this and began to send him women. He finds it funny, knowing that the devil god is not merciless. What is the use of giving him a woman? Even if they are naked, in his eyes, they are just a pile of dead flesh. They found many women, including enchanting magic girls, shivering monks and fairies, and they didn't even know where to find a few mortal women. He walked over, the pressure made them dare not even lift their heads. He lifted their chins with his toes. Talk. The devil spares his life. The devil spares his life. He sneered. There was no wave in his heart, and even the curiosity that he had when he was young has faded. Ruthlessness and love is the best punishment of the devil god by the way of heaven. He is sinful, but he can never taste the taste of being a man. In this world, no one will love him. Perhaps one day, when he died, there would be no one to collect his body. The 6 realms would only cheer. Until one day, Jingsh told him, in the tomb of 10,000 immortals, Gonai's dead body is gone. Tan Tai-jin suddenly became interested. Oh. His avatar suddenly appeared beside Wan Xiao's tomb. Following a shallow fragrance, he saw her for the first time. A little girl Yuyan stole Gonai's dead body and ran away. She rubbed her eyes and cried, and hugged the corpse. Brother, Susu takes you home. Tan Tai-jin looked blankly for a while, snapped his fingers, and the girl rolled down the fairy sword together with the human body, and fell heavily into the mortal world. She was so courageous, no monk in the world dared to get involved in his territory, but a little girl who hadn't grown up took the courage of the leopard and tried to steal Gonai's dead body. The girl got up from the ground and looked around suspiciously. She gritted her teeth, fell blue and purple on her body, turned into a small wooden horse, put Gongai Jianwu on it, and tried to take him away. The fingers under the cloak of Tan Tai-jin moved slightly, and the wooden horse turned into a piece of paper, lightly falling to the ground, and no longer had the power to hump up. The girl was dull, squatting down, carrying Gongai Jaivu on her back and ran forward. Tan Tai-jin suddenly became angry and turned his palm. Under the real fire, the tongue of flames spread, igniting their surroundings. The girl wanted to protect Gongai Jianwu in the fire, but she couldn't protect him. Even though she hugged her tightly, she could only watch her brother turn into ashes. After a long time, she crawled out of the fire and cried loudly. Tan Tai-jin looked coldly at the girl who hadn't been injured by the real fire, but the phoenix Protus who hadn't grown up. For a moment, he had the idea of strangling her to death, strangling her at an early age while the Protus hadn't grown up. But when he watched her work so hard to protect Gongai Jianwu, he suddenly remembered the year he died as a mortal. The fire was so big that it almost consumed the entire city. Everyone clapped their hands and cheered, no one to protect him and accompany him. After many years, Tan Tai-jin once again experienced that kind of resentment and jealousy. He didn't kill Susu. After watching her for a long time, he didn't know what he wanted to see from her. More than 10 years have passed. It took a long time for Tan Tai-jin to forget about it. On that day, his subordinates said that a traitor had emerged from among the monks, and he had captured a monk who was born with a spiritual body and wanted to offer it to him. He saw the girl again. She was tricked out of the sect by a defecting colleague and brought to Tan Tai-jin. Shocked and pressed Susu's hand on the soul stone. The soul stone shines, and only a clean and pure soul can make the soul stone shine. Anxiety expressed his appreciation, and the traitor was very happy. The Demon King's palace was ***** and gloomy, and Tan Tai-jin was sitting on the throne, surrounded by black mist. The black cloak envelops the body, and the only exposed eyes are without emotion. He coldly looked at everything in the demon palace, as well as the little white figure. The girl was teased by the monsters around her. She knotted her hands and tried to attack them. She was very fierce. It was a pity that she experienced such a thing for the first time, and she was young. How could she beat these people out? Susu tried to fly out with the sword, but was slapped back by the demons at the door. The demons are all human spirits. Seeing that the demons on the throne are silent and watching them play with girls, they obviously acquiesced to their actions, so they intensified. Susu's white skirt was dirty, she rolled on the ground a few times, and she couldn't escape anyway. In the end, Susu was so anxious that he turned into a prototype, covered his cheeks with wings, and cried. The lights of the magic palace were crackling. Tan Tai-jin's complexion was pale against the lights. He propped his chin and stared at her. Xiao Suzu was sobbing. The traitor pointed to Suzu and said flatly, "I have come to take refuge in Demon Venerable. This is a gift I gave to Demon Venerable." The next moment, the traitor's eyes widened, a heavy sound was made in his throat, and blood snaked from the corner of his mouth. The traitor died so easily. Everyone fell silent, and realized that afterwards, they were shocked to find that the demon god seemed to be unhappy. Tan Tai-jin suddenly stretched out his pale fingers and picked her up. With tears in Susu's eyes, Tan Tai-jin blushed when she saw her, thinking she was going to say something terrific, but she suddenly said, "I'm not afraid of you." The corners of Tan Tai-jin's lips hidden under the cloak bend, and his gaze sweeps over her trembling legs. The ungrown little phoenix pads the souls of tenderness and tenderness. The adult phoenix tribe can burn the ancient Buju mountain, and the karma fire that Akaban falls can burn all the evils in the world. I don't know, can one day burn all his sins like this? He looked at these clean and clear eyes. The ancients were dying, and now, only this last **** belongs to the ancients, as well as his monster that was born for loneliness. He touched Juyu, who touched her eyebrows, suddenly raised his hand and threw her back to Henjiang sect. La Ying ran out, frowned and said, "Master Devil, did you just let her go like this?" He said coldly, "Otherwise, she is a monk." Su Ying's expression is complicated. "How can you let the monk go?" His pitch-black eyes looked at the phoenix feathers that fell on his palm, sighing, "Do you believe in death?" Su Ying was startled and remained silent for a long time. The ancient demon **** also asked her this question. Soon after, the immortal ancient demon **** was besieged by the gods, betrayed by the demon king, and dissipated in the world. The devil has the ability to foresee himself. This is something no one knows. The ancient demon foresaw the scene of his death, so he looked for a way to solve it, created the same path of sorrow, and tried to break free from the heavenly way and get rid of his death. Unfortunately, he failed. The most funny thing is that the ancient demon died on the same path of compassion. Tan Tai Jin's predictive ability. At the moment he got rid of a mortal body and became a demon god, he also saw that he would die. The body melts into the same path of sadness, always lonely and cold, and plunged into darkness. The demons are selfish, and Tan Tai Jin is no exception. He only loves himself. Even if the 6 worlds turned into dust, his eyes would not blink. So when Shi Ying and Jing Mi begged him to open up the same path of compassion, he played with those divine beads and smiled silently. They were wrong, he Tan Tai Jin, and would never sacrifice himself for others. He would rather lose the world. The last Protus, Tan Tai Jin thought, since the gods love the common people, can they save him this despicable demon? Playing with palm feathers, he suddenly smiled and had a bold idea. The ancient lessons learned first, it is impossible to open the same path of compassion, so it is better to take a gamble. The feathers in his hand fluttered lightly, flying into the air with the 4 divine beads. With the rotation of his pale fingers, the divine beads gathered together and became a piece of transparent glass, enveloping the phoenix feathers. He flicked a drop of blood at his fingertips, giving the glazed sacred stone power. Gradually, Liuli appeared in outline. The girl's slender feet, fluttering skirt, holy face appeared for the first time, and finally a little cinnabar on the center of her eyebrows. She was standing in the air, with clear eyes and firmness, holding a sword. Tan Tai Jin's playful smile froze at the corner of his mouth, staring at her blankly. For the first time in his life, he looked up to a person, as if there was a hand in his heart, gently flicking it made him feel a bit strange. That's how little Phoenix grew up. Caught off guard, just appeared in front of him. Tan Tai Jin stretched out his hand, and the goddess fell into his palm. It was cold and unattainable, even if it was very close to her. There was still a sense of distance. He looked at her weirdly, his expression slightly distorted. Tan Tai Jin suddenly remembered the man who refused to give up, boldly stealing the body of Gong Yiji, and wanted his senior to walk decently. Li Sizu. The devil is not merciless, he doesn't know what the strange feeling in his heart is, just a goddess image after she grows up, can't dispel his original plan. Tan Tai Jin didn't use the 4 divine beads to open the ruthless way. He turned the divine beads into the statue of the colored glazed goddess and sent it back to the time and space of the past, beside him when he was young. Upon learning that Xianmen planned to send Susu back to 500 years ago, the entire demons were caught in a riot. Master Devil, what should we do? We want to stop them. Tan Tai Jin's sleeves flicked, and the water mirror in the sky showed the appearance of an immortal world. He didn't panic, because all this was the game he had set, and he didn't want the set death, so he made a big bet with the 6 worlds. If he loses, he will die with his death. If he wins, he will get rid of his death, and the 6 realms will pave the way for him. The young girl Suzu sat in the magic circle with her hands sealed, and in front of her was a mirror that had been barely repaired. The mirror reflected her in the past, which was not different from the goddess image he once sent away. Going to pump my evil bone 500 years ago. He propped his chin and looked at the scene in the water mirror. Suddenly he had a strange expectation. To pump the evil bone requires me to be emotional, then one day, you will be like protect me as you protect him. He laughed suddenly, and whispered to the girl in the water mirror, if you have the ability, let me fall in love with you. Otherwise, you will definitely lose this bet on the fate of the 6 worlds. At that time, the all-powerful demon didn't think he would lose. He just wanted to use the goddess to change his death. But he never thought that the beginning of the story was conspiracy and selfishness, and the end of the story was love and giving. Chapter 138, Fan Y7, Susu Taijin. Once the demon world hosted a banquet for Emperor Amy. As the demon king, Tan Tai Jin and Susu sat on the top to entertain the officials. When the banquet was approaching halfway, Zykon's domain master was long overdue. He knelt on the ground and repeatedly pleaded for sin. Something happened to the minister's Zykon, so he couldn't come in time. The queen of the demon will forgive the sins. Every time Susu saw Lord Zykan, he was quite amazed. The real body of Lord Zykan is a grizzly bear who has lived for thousands of years. His real body has smooth hair and is very burly. Speaking of it, demonizing into a human form has something to do with the real body. After thousands of years of practice, almost most monsters will beautify themselves when transforming, so that there is no particularly ugly existence in the monster world. Because of the burly body, Lord Zykan's body is also a heroic man. The bronzed skin, the exposed arms are vigorous and powerful, and the powerful muscles are full of strength. His size alone can match the size of 2 adult men. Susu looked at Lord 11 Khan's arms that were thicker than his own waist, and his teeth were a little sore. Tan Taijin sat next to her, and naturally noticed that Susu's gaze stayed on Lord 11 Khan for a while. Tan Taijin raised his eyes, and a pair of magic pupils fell on the master's icon. After scanning Lord 11 Khan, he coldly squinted his eyes. Don't look at the Lord Zykan's thin and big leaves, but he is as thin as a hair. When you look at the expression of the devil, Lord 11 Khan knows that it's not good. He was worried for a while, and heard the man above his chin and smiled and asked, the folk customs of Zykan, but has it become more open? The master of Zykan was puzzled. Your Majesty, demon is joking. Zykan is no different from hundreds of years ago. Lord Zykan heard the yin and yang cynical voice of the demon from above. Dignified Lord Zykan came to the demon palace for a banquet, and he was not covered in clothes. Lord Zykan set an example by doing this. Lord Zykan was ashamed and felt quite aggrieved. They are monsters. Naturally, they admire freedom much more than Moxiu. He only showed his arms. There are also little monsters in Zikaniu wearing panties. The officials underneath were gloating with misfortunes and smiling. They were all a group of bad friends, and naturally they would not speak for the Lord Zykan. Suzu still couldn't stand it anymore, pulling Tan Taijin's sleeve. Hey, enough is enough. A man as big as Lord Zykan stood in the hall at a loss, fearful and at a loss, strangely pitiful. Tan Taijin pursed his lips, glanced at Susu, and walked away. That glance was very meaningful, and Susu rarely saw the grievance of gritted teeth from his expression. It seemed that she wanted to strangle her to death, or wanted to lose her temper to the courtiers underneath, so she held back. She was funny and curious. Since the two got married, she asked Xingxing Tantajin not to give the moon. It is rare to see him annoyed by herself. After the banquet was over, Susu was not in a hurry to coax him, and talked with Xiao Amy for a while. When she went back to the sleeping hall, she found that Tan Taijin hadn't returned yet. The maidservant looked at Susu and said, Your Majesty, the devil is in the front hall, dealing with matters reported by the adults, and may not return to the sleeping hall tonight. Susu nodded. I see, then you tell Your Majesty that I will sleep with little Digi tonight. The maidservant. Susu turned around and went to Ami's bedroom. The maidservant turned her head nervously, and said in a trembling voice, Magic, demon. The Xuanyi man's fingers plunged into the pillar, and looking at Susu's back, the pillar was pinched with a few finger marks. Tan Taijin went to the front hall with a cold face and dealt with the affairs of the demon realm in the middle of the night. He called in his attendants and asked, Is the queen back? The attendant shook his head. The queen is still in the imperial palace. Is little Digi asleep? Sleep. Tan Taijin threw down the pen, got up and walked out. Xiao Amy was very happy for Suzu's arrival. Suzu said something intimately with her, and put her daughter to sleep. Ami hugged Cloth Tiger, clenched her small fist, and slept with pink cheeks. Susu looked at her daughter with a smile, and waited for the person to come over. Sure enough, in the middle of the night, a pair of powerful arms hugged her horizontally, and walked out without saying a word. The faint evening flowers of the demon world bloomed in the night, very beautiful. Fireflies were flying in the air. She looked at Tan Taijin's so delicate profile face, and smiled deliberately to rub his face. Aren't you angry with me? Why, you're not angry. He lowered his eyes and glanced at her. Knowing I'm angry, and leaving without looking back. Susu dangled a pair of jade feet in his arms. I haven't seen you angry for a long time, so I miss it. Seeing him pursing his lips, Susu suddenly covered his face with his sleeves, and said dully, It's only a few years before you are angry with me. I will bring Ami back to Henjiang Sect tomorrow, so as not to hinder the devil. Your lord's eyes, Tan Tai-jin put Susu on the swing, picked up the shoes on the ground, put on her exquisite right foot, and whispered, "Susu, I am not angry with you." Susu removed one sleeve. "Then who are you angry with?" There was a subtle emotion in his eyes. He paused, calmed down, and said nonchalantly, "I'm not angry." "The more so, the more curious, Susu." She took his hand. "Let me see." "Okay." Tan Tai-jin said lightly, "No, it's late at night, I will take you back to the bedroom." She flew off the swing frame. "Then I will sleep with me, Susu." Tan Tai-jin hugged her and whispered, "Do you really want to torture me like this?" He broke the person in his arms, took her little hand, gritted her teeth, placed it on his forehead, and closed his eyes. A piece of the past in Suzu's memory appeared before his eyes. She looked at the picture in Tan Tai-jin's heart in surprise. It turned out to be a memory of 1,500 years ago, when Susu fled from Tan Tai-jin, bid farewell to Xiaolin, and went to the extreme north to find the desert. She didn't expect to find Tan Tai-jin with a blind eye and broken meridians on the road. "Laugh as you want." The young man, together with the black cloak, was half hidden in the snow. Susu said, "Shut up. If she can, she really doesn't want to save someone who wants to kill herself all the time." Susu summoned the bay red horse, and took him to hug him. The girl took a breath, sank her dantian, supported the young man under her ribs, and hugged the person in one breath. Easily and effortless, she clapped her hands and brushed away the snowflakes he had brought on him. Tan Tai-jin. He is very tall, although thin, but not much lighter. Being picked up so simply by a girl who looked delicate, even though there was no love, a strange embarrassment was born in her heart. The girl ignored the boy's dark expression, and laughed out amusedly. He was on horseback, his face growing gloomy. At night, he found a family to settle down, and Susu wiped the blood from his body to clean up the traces of Xuanbing needle stuck in his eyes. She soaked the kerchief in hot water and wiped off the blood stains on his face. Tan Tai-jin's black pupil looked at her faintly, and the girl brushed his cheek with her fingers. Tan Tai-jin subconsciously wanted to move it sideways, but she held it back. If his hands and feet are intact, he must coldly pat her hands away at this moment. It's a pity that he can't do anything now. Susu dealt with his wrists and ankles again. She wiped off the blood and wrapped up his wounds with a clean cloth. Tan Tai's angle of attack was clear and sharp, abandoning Tan Tai-jin's hands and feet, deliberately causing him extreme pain. Knowing that Tan Tai-jin might be so painful that life would be worse than death, Susu also started softly. After all, she is not his pervert who takes torturing people as happiness. Naturally she will not make things worse at this kind of moment. Susu wrung out the **** white cloth towel and asked him, "Where else is there any injury?" Tan Tai-jin tightened his lips and ignored her. She looked down and saw that his clothes were darker in color. The boy had a black color, which could hide the wound. That place, just in the abdomen. Susumu took a moment, fearing that he would bleed too much to death, and stretched out his hand to untie his belt. Tan Tai-jin's limbs were scrapped and could not move. He stared at the girl's fingers and said coldly, "What are you doing?" Even if the fragrance on his body resembles Albizia julibrissin, he is still taking off his clothes now. Under the candlelight, the girl tilted her head to look at him, and responded casually, "Covet your beauty, while you can't move, isn't it just right?" Thinking of something, she smiled a little badly, raised her arms, and looked down at him above him. "Tan Tai-jin, if you are afraid, call for help. There are not only the two of us here, but there are also Xiaoling and her mother-in-law and grandfather outside." Tan Tai-jin stared at the delicate face above. He had no love for his lover that year, and Susu's joke should have been harmless to him. But when her hand opened his shirt, there was the coldness of winter, which brought a little shudder to his skin. Subconsciously, he unexpectedly felt a little nervous. Susu looked down and saw no wounds. It turned out that she had misunderstood. The blood in his abdomen was someone else's. She paused, and put his clothes on him if nothing had happened. As a result, he had just fastened his clothes and saw a pair of dark eyes that were about to come. "What's the matter with you?" she asked suspiciously. He sneered, closed his eyes, with a slight look of hatred towards her. Susu didn't understand the meaning, and said, "It's inexplicable." There was only one bed in the room, which was occupied by Tan Tai-jin. That night, Susu slept on the table, sleeping very uncomfortably, and sore all over. She didn't know what the boy was thinking. Because of this misunderstanding, Tan Tai-jin kept his eyes open all night, looking at Yixu outside the window. For the young devil, he has no self-esteem, and naturally he has never felt inferiority complex, but Susu glanced at him tonight and pulled up his clothes, inexplicably reminding him of the clear words of Tan Tai-jin on the boat the previous 2 days. Tan Tai clearly stepped on his feet and smiled contemptuously. I heard that your empress is the #1 beauty in Huayu who was famous in the world. Look like a weak waist. It would be better to be a princess. Israel serves people. Weak waist. The girl hugged him on the horse so easily. She took off his clothes tonight, just glanced lightly, and hurriedly pulled him up as if she was disgusted. There is a feeling of hatred in the heart of the boy without love. I don't know if it is to the girl lying on the table, or to my body that can't practice martial arts. He was very pale that year, with a sickly cold feeling on his skin, as thin as a bamboo. Daixia Shangvu, most men have strong muscles, but he doesn't. His abdomen is well proportioned, with only a thin layer of muscle on the texture, which is fairer than a woman's skin. Starving all the year round, he just wanted to do his best to survive, and he never cared about this bladder. The young devil's inferiority complex came very late, and in the night of the human village, no one could look at it. Accompanied by the dawn, these initial sorrows and cowardice were hidden in his heart. Later, he got up from the Gikuhir River. At first, there was almost only a skeleton left. When he could grow out of a flesh body, he somehow remembered the night in the human village. The girl opened his shirt and closed it quickly and silently. Tan Tai-jin sneered, and spent some effort in reshaping his body. It's a pity that the sky is unsatisfactory, and the existence of the devil has already surpassed the laws of the world. Just as the human nature of the bear demon and the lion spirit is strong, the body of the demon ***** is more inclined to the beauty of Long. He belongs to the genre of demons, and his fleshly body has deceptive beauty, which is far from the master of Zycon. Even after so many years, Tan Tai-jin still thought that Susu liked him. At least it was the man who used to be the kind of strong and powerful man like Shiagyo in the world. For the demon ***** Tan Tai-jin, he can naturally change, and even take away other people's bodies, but after all, it is not his own body, and he can't bear to use other people's bodies to get along with Susu. Susu looked at this memory, opened his eyes, and looked at the handsome demon in front of him, feeling very complicated. The corner of Susu's mouth wanted to rise very much, and she was forced down by her life. Tan Tai-jin pursed his lips. If you want to laugh, you can laugh. After 1,000 years, with this familiar word, she seemed to see the young man in the snow again, obviously full of emotions, very minded in her heart, but pretending to be calm and calm. She was not polite, and sneered on his shoulders. Ha ha ha. Tan Tai-jin's face grew darker and his body stiffened. Obviously he made her laugh, but at this time, the blue veins on his forehead jumped, and there was a rare sense of shame. So, are you envious of Lord 11 Khan's physical body? Susu opened his arms and gestured in an extremely exaggerated posture. Tan Tai-jin said nothing. Susu knew it well, and smiled seriously and said, let's go back to the sleeping hall. The two of them walked a long way, and Susu heard the silent Tan Tai-jin suddenly speak with disdain. The body of a ***** can transform everything. So what is the Lord's icon? After a pause, he glanced at Susu and said calmly, if you like it, I will reshape my body tomorrow. Susu couldn't help it anymore, rushed into his arms, smiled and said, I want to tell that young devil. I just wanted to see if there were any other injuries on his body, and I felt a little ashamed. How could he think I like Lord Zycon or Simon Daixia? Does he know that the body of God is the best-looking existence in the world? All beings have spirits, and you, who are in my heart, are the most exciting. Tan Tai-jin lowered his eyes and saw Susu's bright eyes. For a long time, he curled his lips. Yeah, the young demon ***** and him now know about it. Chapter 139 Extra 8. On the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, it's the 100 Years competition again. The competition is still held in the Henjiang sect. The current 100 Years competition is different from before. In the past, The 100 Years competition was for the purpose of exchanging information and fighting against the demons together. Now the two races of the fairy and demons live together peacefully for the time being. Naturally, the centennial competition is only for the graduates of the school entrance examination. The role of Susu sent a letter to Gonai Jaivu in advance, expressing the hope that Tan Tai Jin will bring a young monk from the demon realm to compete. Gonai Jianwu had finished reading the letter and naturally had no objections. Knowing that the demon king is coming, the Henjiang sect started to open the courtyard a few days ago, preparing to entertain the guests of the demon clan. To be honest, the younger brothers are quite disturbed. Thousands of years ago, the scene of how Tan Tai Jin was tyrannical and murderous is vivid. Now think about such a big demon coming to his own sect. Whenever he turns his face, it will be no survivor. Although he knew that Tan Tai Jin saved the 6 realms, the psychological shadow could not dissipate in a moment. The people in the sect were in panic, and Gonai, who was the head of trust, felt helpless in his heart. Fortunately, he had a good mentality, and comforted, "Don't worry, even if something happens, the head will die in front of you," Yu Fuya said in a hurry. Senior brother master is also joking. Gonai smiled faintly. The younger brothers were not comforted by the sneer jokes of the boss. On that day, everyone was anxiously waiting for Tan Tai Jin to arrive. Black clouds gathered in the sky, and the strong dark color made the brothers unable to help but look up. A 9-headed bird monster carriage came from the sky. Gonai Jaivu stood against the wind, smiling gently. "Junior sister." Sure enough, a white hand on the car wheel raised the driving curtain, revealing Susu's smiling face. "Big brother, Fuya." Susu jumped out of the car and hadn't seen his old home for a long time. This time it was a competition, and the main purpose was to come back and have a look. In the past, Susu was the younger sister of the crowd in Henjiang. Now that she came back, all the older brothers and sisters were so happy that they instantly forgot her goddess status and gathered around. The crowd spoke warmly and affectionately. The demon world monk who followed the 9-headed bird cart to look at Susu, and then to the cart that was on top of the dark clouds, they all chose to be quiet as a chicken. Everyone knows that, in fact, the devil is disdainful of what a shabby competition. It's not that the young brothers of the demon clan will be ashamed of losing. The demon are all belligerent and eager to try. The reason why the demon lord does not want to come is that it is said that there are many former rivals of the demon lord in the Henjiang sect. Ju are more kind and upright than the former demon king. Nowadays, the devil's unpleasant mood can even be felt by the 9-headed bird. Tan Tai Jin held Ami with one hand and got out of the carriage. At a glance, he saw Gonai Jaivu who was facing the wind in Yushu. How deeply entangled this person with his death. Tan Tai Jin narrowed his eyes, holding his daughter as if nothing had happened and walked over. Gonai-ji has no eyes warm and moist, neither sad nor happy. When he looked at Ami in his arms, he was a little startled, and then his eyes softened. "Are you me?" Ami looked at Gonai Jaivu with big watery eyes, blinked for a long while. Chong Gonai Jaivu stretched out his hand. "Uncle hug." Gonai Jianwu stretched out his hand stiffly, and hugged Ami from Tan Tai Jin's arms. Tan Tai Jin raised his eyebrows and let go. Susu looked at Ami, then at his stiff senior, walked to Tan Tai Jin and quietly twisted his waist. "Hey, what the asterisk are you doing with Ami?" Tan Tai Jin lowered his eyes and looked at her with a smile. "Just don't believe me. Why don't you even believe your own daughter?" "Susu, Ami can only be better in front of her." Since Tan Tai Jin returned to his position, Xiao Ami has been a lawless demon. The child's father always smiled and admired Amy to encourage him to do bad things. Most of her daughters look like herself, but she is a hybrid of gods and demons, subconsciously carrying Tan Tai Jin's unique evil in her bones. Susu heard the little girl biting her finger and asking Gonai Jaivu, "Uncle, where is your Taoist companion?" Gonai was silent for a moment, and replied gently, "Uncle has no Taoist companion." "Oh, why is there no Taoist uncle?" "Uncle." Gonai is silent and rarely gets along with such a small child. For a while, he finds that he can't answer, and stares with Ami. Susu quickly walked over. "Brother, give Ami to me." Ami turned around and glanced at his demon lord's father. Tan Tai Jin's lips rose slightly, not discerning happiness or anger. Ami naturally listened more to Susu's words, let go of Gonai Jianwu, and stood on the ground by herself. "Sorry brother, Emi soiled your clothes. Susu said. Gonai Jaivu lowered his eyes and saw that there was a dirty palm print on his shoulder with a child with sugar stains on it. Maybe. He pinched a decision and cleaned up his clothes. The big buy is about to begin. Please come to the meeting, fellow Taoists. Everyone took their seats one by one. Susu looked at the two big and one small faces in front of him, and warned, you are not allowed to make trouble in Henjiang sect, and you are not allowed to rectify senior brother Gongai. Have you heard? Ami was very obedient, and nodded again and again. Ami understands, mother. Susu kissed her cheek. Me is so good. In the end, the child sinking, Ami quickly became happy and watched the game on the court. What about you, Tan Taijin? Tan Taijin was silent for a moment, seeming to be quite unwilling. Seeing Suzu still staring at him, he had to say, I know. Susu breathed a sigh of relief. What Tan Taijin promised her would definitely be done. Susu smiled and uttered something in his ear. Tan Taijin heard the words, and a slight smile appeared in his eyes. When they talk, Gonai Jaivu is in sight. Yao Guang sat beside him and said enviously, I used to think that Kan Juman was gloomy and indifferent, but now it seems that he treats Susu very well. Gonai Jaivu nodded slightly. It's pretty good. When Susu spoke, Tan Taijin listened very attentively, and only Susu was in his eyes. What Susu said, there was a small brilliance in his eyes. As the demon lord, he didn't care how he would look at the brother he brought out, so he peeled the grapes to Suzu, and then peeled them to me. In the entire banquet, he himself had not eaten a bite. For thousands of years of grievances, the two of them have been entangled from their mortal lives until now. Gonai Jingvu had prepared Tantajin to make things difficult for him, but nothing happened later. Tan Taijin even nodded at him politely, and then looked back at Susu. Seeing her happily smiling, Tan Taijin also smiled. That smile was rare and pure. At that moment, Gonai Jaivu suddenly understood why Susu liked this person. Even though Tan Taijin was once selfish, indifferent, self-sufficient, arrogant and vicious, for such a person, thousands of years of grudges would not end, but as long as Susu said a word and a smile, Tan Taijin pulled out his thorns and made it simple, clean. A heart of innocence would actually appear on the demon god. Gongyu drank his glass of wine in silence, and Tan Taijin was kind to her, and he was relieved. At night, Suzu and Tan Taijin stayed in the fairy mountain of Changs. Tan Taijin is very familiar with this place. In the nightmare illusion, he had been here when he was still Kangjuman. At that time, Susu used feathers to weave sword ears for him by the side of Tianqi, but it was a pity that the sword ears were only half weaved. Later, before Tan Taijin went to his death, he imagined such a scene and finished knitting the unfinished sword ears by himself. Once this place was sad for Tan Taijin. Today, it is where she grew up. He wanted to walk the path she had traveled, meet people she knew, and participate in the life of his absence. In the depths of Tianqi, there is a wooden house where Susu often practiced when he was young. Susu sat cross-legged on the bead cushion, and showed Tan Taijin what he had been a kid. She took them out one by one from the wooden box, recalling and saying to Tan Taijin, this is the grasshopper made by my father. This is for my younger brother from Xiangyu, and the amber used by my brothers to scare me. Frog. Tan Taijin listened very carefully, just like that studious teenager in the world. With a faint smile in his eyes, he touched her head. Susu didn't ask about his childhood. She knew that Tan Taijin's childhood was not good. His past was full of hunger, hypocrisy, and hatred. So now, she has the patience to take him to see many beautiful things. Just like the common life talisman shown to him at the beginning, those beautiful scrolls were presented to him. Fill in the missing things in his heart. She encouraged Tan Taijin to return to Xiaoyou sect and allowed him to teach his daughter unfamiliarly and dotingly. The unfairness of heaven to him back then, Suzu now uses another way to make up for it. This night they slept in the wooden house, the same bed as Suzu. Tan Taijin hugged Susu, waved his hand, and the stars appeared in Chang's immortal mountain. Tan Taijin kissed her eyebrows, Suzu leaned against his heart, and slept very peacefully. The breeze blew. Susu, who had already become a god, opened his eyes. The red magic mark on Tan Taijin's eyebrows flickered slightly, with a sense of evil and ominousness. That is since he returned to the demon realm, quietly following his inner demon. In other words, it is the heart demon who belongs to the devil's death, passed through the gap of the same path of sorrow, attached to him in this life. Miraculously speaking, this heart demon was also produced by Tantai Jin, so he was ignorant and didn't feel anything wrong. Susu has always wanted to know what it is, which was previously impossible to detect in the demon realm, but it is possible tonight. Susu pinched a fight, and the plane tree rustled outside the window. The invisible formation was opened to help her catch the inner demon hidden by the demon god. Susu closed her eyes and touched his forehead. Because Tantai Jin did not resist her breath, she easily saw the demon god's heart demon under the blessing of the sycamore wood. It belonged to another person, but it was also Tantai Jin. In front of him was the life in which he had never appeared by his side. Tantai Jin grew up as a mortal, struggled to survive as an ordinary person, and failed at the last moment. The young man was buried in the fire and looked at the lonely world to his death. His eyes were blank but painful. The fire is like a wall separating him from the world. Inside the fire, he was lonely and frightened. Outside the fire, the people cheered and celebrated that he was burned to death. He was like a child who didn't know what he had done wrong, curled up, unable to shed a tear. Susu suddenly felt very distressed. Tantai Jin, through the fire, she held the young man's hand. The boy trembled, and his black eyes looked at her. At the first glance, the pain in his eyes seemed to disappear. With a gentle smile, "This mortal world is painful, but the moment you hold my hand, it is happiness." The teenager gingerly held her hand back. Gradually, the scene collapsed with him, and the demons hidden in the suicide disappeared silently. Soda yawned, contented. The first ray of light penetrated in the morning. Tantai Jin opened his eyes. Suzu in his arms slept peacefully, and he touched the demon seal hidden on his forehead. When he was involved in the same path of sorrow, he saw another himself. The devil who has no emotion until death, only knows conspiracy and tricks. And these lonely scenes were far, far away from him at this moment. The glass beads on his wrist glowed shallowly and brightly in the sun. He lowered his eyes to look at the beads. Under the formation before the Wutongling could disperse in the future, the magic pupil saw what Susu had quietly melted in. That is a goddess, the most precious blessing and love. Stunned for a long time, in such an ordinary morning, the demon god, who was born without love and tears, suddenly wet his eyes.